All right. All right. I'm trying to make sure that these glasses, I have bought this shirt so the glasses match the fit. And what I also want to say is I did not talk to Mack all day today until literally the last 20 minutes when he said he'd be here in 10. And we just happened to be matching the same bronze colors.
It's a mental thing.
It's a mental thing. Damn right.
Yeah.
So I got these glasses to match the whole fit. Mm-hmm. And we got a show to give you guys this week. That's Mack, I'm Black. Welcome. It's Super Bowl Sunday, believe it or not. With everything that's been going on during the week, we're going to touch base on everything. And then, we got Super Bowl, Kobe. We got the Royal Rumble was last Sunday. The WWE actually did something last night. Thank Christ that I've been crying for them to do for at least the last, since he got the title. Thank you, WWE, for finally taking the Intercontinental title off of Shinsuke Nakamura's no wrestling born ass. Thank you. God bless. That was 3 months too long that he had that championship, and they finally put it on Braun Strowman. So let's see how Braun does with a real championship. Not this, let me put the tag team titles on him with some kid from WrestleMania in New Orleans. That makes no sense. Give him a legit IC title run, and I appreciate the WWE writers for growing half a brain and making that happen. Thank you. Sweet Mamacita. I saw that yesterday in my notifications while I was out watching Jamie Kennedy last night at the Chicago Improv in Schaumburg.
How'd it go?
And that show was flipping hilarious. And these two people left in the middle of the show, and Jamie Kennedy was riding these guys for at least 15 minutes.
That's what you gotta do.
I'm in the back crying a storm. Absolutely crying. So, what's up, Stan? What's up, Steven? Much love to Steven, by the way. Steven hit me up at 9:30 this morning, wondering when the show was on, because he's a loyal listener of the show. Therefore, you get a shout out on the show.
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate you.
You got your priorities set.
Steven and I are both Rangers fans, so we're pretty happy we're playing the sorry-ass Detroit Red Wings. We beat their asses last night. We're finna beat their asses again tonight. So much love to Steven. The only thing is he loves the Mets. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Do that.
No. I can't. Right.
Nah.
The joke ends there because the joke has already been said.
No. Appreciate the love, Steve. And
yes.
I think we both knew that this one was going to start off a little bit more somber. And, last Sunday was, pretty crazy for the sports world. The world in general. I don't think anybody realized how much of an effect Kobe had, and even outside of the sports world. But I think that's just kind of what death does. And Sunday morning, I woke up to the notification. It was on Twitter, I believe. A Twitter thread was going viral very early in the news, and then somebody replied to it with the TMZ post, the original TMZ post.
Right.
And I was clicking on the TMZ post to check if it was real, and it kept failing. And the reason why I was failing is because so many people were doing the same thing I was doing, and just trying to hope it was fake and hope that, that was not a real thing. And it was a real thing, and it was obviously devastating. Just like, again, I said this to you before the show, I tend to try and not get too swept up in celebrity deaths. I think death in general is a really terrible thing, but at the end of the day, this is sort of part of life. And I think when you grow up with that mentality like I did, you just start to death is just sort of like, okay, that happened, very sad, okay, we've moved on now. But I got to say, man, that Kobe stuff hit me hard. And then it was about it wasn't even that long after. It was about an hour after is when they started saying at least one of his daughters was on the helicopter with him. And it turned out to be Gianna, who was the basketball playing daughter, very talented and part of Kobe's Mamba Academy over in LA. They were on their way along with other families too. So RIP to all of the victims on that helicopter. We'll get their names eventually and give them the respect, but obviously, they're on their way to one of the Mamba Academy events, and that's what happens sometimes when it comes to airplanes, especially helicopters. That doesn't happen very often,
right?
But when it does happen, it's just one of those things that you have to say something went wrong. But I think the sadness was really for me like Kobe after retirement, Kobe.
Right.
And we talked about it. It was crazy, man. We talked about it when we were at Reps, and I mentioned out of nowhere how I felt like, man, Kobe, I really like this post-retirement version of Kobe and what he means to the league and what he means to the players and everything like that. And then, obviously the next day he passed on. Very sad. So, RIP. I know it's kind of, I think the week has sort of been jam-packed with Kobe too, which is sort of one of these things where you're just sort of, okay, it's done. Like, you get the feeling that it's done now, right? Like, okay, the time has passed, but it still feels weird that, one of the legends in the game is gone.
I think kind of once we get to the funeral part of Kobe is where the healing process will start, because here's the thing. I think a lot of people, because you're going to get these, and I guess internet trolls, a.k.a. keyboard warriors, a.k.a. know-it-alls, a.k.a. jackasses as far as I'm concerned, that always want to bring the negative when it comes to, oh, well, you guys didn't know Kobe, blah, blah, blah. This is why we, Mack and I, and people that do sports reporting or sports shows or just sports media in general, we invest so much time and so much love into stuff like this. And there's a lot of people that defended Kobe Bryant during his career almost more than they defended their own moms, their own families. Kobe being the closest thing that we may have ever seen to Michael Jordan. And as much as Kobe would always say, I'm my own guy, you see all the reports of when Kobe in his upbringing, when he lived in Europe and his time in the United States, that he studied tapes of Michael and that he wanted to emulate arguably one of, if not the greatest player, depending on who you ask, that has ever played the game of basketball. And so, and I feel like a lot of people, when it came to Kobe Bryant, either you really loved him or you really hated him. There was a very few people that was in the gray area, when it came to Kobe Bryant. So this death really hit, a lot of people hard. And I think what would hit the hardest are kind of like I almost want to say because I'm 36, so I kind of came up per se in the Michael era before Kobe.
My generation is more the
Kobe's than mine, because mine is kind of the Michael into Kobe's.
Right.
Yours is kind of like Kobe's into the LeBrons.
Right.
So when you get that Kobe into LeBron generation, I think it hit them worse, because when I heard the news, of course I was sad, but it didn't hit me harder than most of my friends in your generation that it hit them. And I totally understand, and it's to each his own when it comes to that. But don't sit here and say, oh, well, you didn't know Kobe, you didn't this and that and everything else, because sports sometimes holds a bigger connection than it does many other people. Everyone has their likes and dislikes. People love theater. People love, television. People love drinking or whatever the case may be. And in most people's case, it comes to sports. So I think at the end of the day, this hurt the NBA community, because, you saw, I don't know if you saw Tracy McGrady.
Yeah.
He was saying that Kobe Bryant damn near called his death when Kobe Bryant was out here saying that he wanted to die young and be immortalized. And Tracy McGrady was saying, I thought he was nuts when he was saying it, but this man was only 41 years old, and he went out. It's almost like he called and went out, because now we're all remembering what Kobe Bryant was. And it was majority positive than it was negative. Like, people want to bring up the alleged rape case and call Kobe Bryant every name in the book. But at the end of the day, the only people, and we discussed this off air, the only people that deserved any kind of explanation for what happened was his wife, his family, and the Los Angeles Lakers organization, because that's who he embarrassed. He didn't embarrass anybody else. So for every keyboard warrior out there, let's go ahead and SVU lawyer, since all of a sudden everyone's got their doctorate degree. So let's go ahead and break this down. A, Kobe Bryant was never charged for rape. B, Kobe Bryant was definitely fixed his image after it happened. He never denied having sex with the woman. And not only did he fix his image, his Vanessa stayed with him. They had another, I think, 2 daughters after the fact. And they were a happy family, happy family. So why are we bringing it? Right. So like they said, you had 17 years to bring it up, and now you want to throw shade on this man's name while he's dead. If that's the case, dude, piss off and F you.
It's a perfect example of our culture right now of, just everything that's happened, good or bad, when it comes to Kobe dying is an indictment on our culture. Everyone that is, ready to be a contrarian and, ready to make fun of Kobe, and there's comedians that were, already trying the Kobe jokes and, already with the disrespect online, because, that's how you get clout now on the internet, is to just be as wacky and as crazy and out of left field as possible. And some people are impressed by that, and I think the vast majority of us aren't impressed by that.
No.
I think we see that as low-hanging fruit, and I don't think I saw a lot of Kobe jokes, and it was hard for me to laugh at one. And let's be honest, man, I'm not, I'm a Bulls guy. I'm a Jordan guy.
Right.
You should see the type of conversations I've had with Kobe, guys, about Kobe and how much I hated Kobe and how much he wasn't Jordan and how much Jordan was Jordan and Kobe was Kobe. And but this transcended basketball, and it was just one of those things where, again, you saw that Kobe was so influential to the players. And then so influential to his family, and then all the stories that flooded social media this week, and the videos and the testimonials of people, former drivers and former people who checked him in at a hotel that had a story, and all of these sort of come in floods, and just to show how great of a guy that he was. There's a famous one about how Kobe started signing autographs when he was 16 and never stopped, and loved to get these kids hyped up about basketball and hyped up about him and the Lakers, and he took a lot of pride in that, and that's a really it's a tough thing to be as an athlete. It gets very easy, I'm sure, to be an athlete and to be jaded, and you make millions of dollars and everyone's screaming your name, and you're like, yeah, fuck off, I'm gonna go do my thing and go clubbing and whatever. And Iverson, to see the outpouring of reactions from guys like Shaq and Iverson and McGrady, and even guys like D-Wade and LeBron, obviously,
right.
Current players. But, Shaq said something that really resonated with me in his sort of tribute, which was like, he saw all of the legends and the gods of basketball old. And, he got to meet Bill Russell when he was old, and gets to talk to Kareem and talk to these guys, and got to talk to Oscar Robertson and just this sort of lineage of basketball gods. And he said that, Kobe, what is no longer there, and that's the saddest part. And to me, the saddest real thing is just about, a father, somebody losing a husband, and, kids losing their sister and their father, and, teammates, the people that were on that helicopter with them were teammates, and can't imagine what it was like in those final moments. on that airplane, man.
Yeah, my favorite picture and meme that I saw on Facebook was the one where he kind of had that look on his face where it said that Kobe's probably from heaven looking down saying, y'all crying over me, but y'all should be in the gym doing work. And I laughed when I saw that because I heard that in Kobe's voice because one of my favorite interviews with Kobe Bryant was when he was saying that, they were out somewhere. I don't know if they were on the road or if, they had like a few days off, and they asked Kobe Bryant to like, hey, yo, Kobe, come out with us and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, I'm not really a go out type of guy. But he was like, look, okay. And because they were harping him like, nah, Kobe, you got to come out with us. And he was like, okay, I'll come out with you. But at 5 o'clock in the morning, we in the gym.
All going to the gym.
We're all going to the gym.
Right.
And they was like, oh, man, no way he going to come out. And he said 4:45, he was knocking on their door, say, hey, wake up. It's time for us to go. We got to go do work. So when he told that story and I saw that meme, I was like, this is hilarious. Because I feel like that's probably what Kobe Bryant's like. He's like, look, I'm gone. I'm sorry that I'm gone. I didn't get to say goodbye to a lot of people. Yeah. But the world stops for no one. I need y'all to be in the gym putting in this work. LeBron, you got a job to do. AD, you got jobs to do. Yeah. I'm a diehard. I'm a Laker for life. You guys are Lakers now. Get in the gym, do work, stop crying over me. Yeah. And I feel like that was like Kobe's type of mentality, what his mindset was, especially being a player because of all the championships and stuff that Kobe has won, my favorite moment, because I watched the entire game when it happened, was the day he dropped 81 on the Toronto Raptors. Yeah. I thought it was feasibly impossible. This man dropped 13 threes on the Toronto Raptors that day. And there was if you were the other four Lakers, you knew that you weren't going to see that ball. No. You weren't seeing that ball the entire time he was on the court. And it was one of the most amazing things. And, not to downplay Wilt dropping 100, but that's probably one of the best single game efforts, if not the best single game effort ever in the NBA, especially in this NBA where shooting isn't as easy maybe now because the competition is so much better. And the way Kobe went out there and easily dropped 81 in 3.5 quarters, for a lack of a better way of putting it, was absolutely amazing. And I feel like it's something that you're not going to see anymore. You might get somewhere close. I mean, we've seen Dame drop 60 a few times over the last couple weeks.
Did Devin Booker get 70 once?
Devin Booker got 70 one time. Yeah. And then that one got downplayed too because everyone was saying like, oh, he's only what was he doing? Like he was getting a lot of free throws. They felt like he was cherry picking.
Yeah,
like
he was cherry, and the team was his team was losing, and his team was basically playing the game so that he would get his stats. And the funny part is you mentioned sort of Kobe's mentality, and Chris Paul talked about, I think it was like Lorenz Dort, one of their rookies, had like 26 points, a career high, but 0 assists, and then after the game, Chris Paul's like, yeah, Kobe would be proud, So clearly everyone's sort of, coming to terms with everything. And, clearly that's a part of, this is a part of life, right? The whole part of life is like, man, your world stops for a second, and then it's right back to what you have to do the next day. And that's the tough part about the NBA because there's a lot of people crying about they said that people were giving Carmelo Anthony grief because yesterday he didn't want to play in LA because he was still grieving. And, people don't understand, like, they think that just because they're fine now that they have the same relationship that Carmelo had with Kobe. You know, that's like me losing my cousin and you meeting him once and being like, bro, it's been a week. What's going on? It's like, you can't. Right. So, if you're mourn, again, I think the most people who are affected by this, obviously, other than his family, are just the NBA guys that looked up to him, idolized him. Jason Tatum talked about how deeply affected he was. Kyrie Irving was so deeply affected he missed a game.
Dude, Jason Tatum's game is very Kobe-esque.
And he has Kobe to thank a lot for some of the progressions he's made over the last couple of years because he's been working one-on-one with Kobe. And Kyrie, who Kobe was asked who his biggest mentee is, and he said my biggest mentee is Kyrie Irving. And Kyrie beat up on the Bulls. I think it was last night.
It was last night.
Yeah. So, R.I.P. Kobe. I think the most important thing, for everyone to realize is just, I loved what Jay Williams said. I don't know if you saw it, but basically said, like, tell the people that you love them. And, the people that you're having these petty beefs with that you love, try not to have petty beefs with them and tell people you love them before
I'm
they're
glad
gone.
you brought that up because one of my friends on Facebook, there was this guy, I don't know if he was trying to be a comedian or not, had brought that up. And he was saying that as much as he kind of agrees with it, like he was saying in a more colorful way, so I'm kind of really cleaning it up. But what he was saying was he feels like some of it is kind of fake for someone to say that because it's easy. Like, why did it take Kobe's death for you to finally want to let go of that grudge? The same grudge that maybe you had a family member die in your family, but you're like, nah, F him, I ain't trying to do nothing with him. Yeah. All of a sudden, Kobe dies, and you want to all of a sudden say, oh, you know what, man, look, life's too short, this and that. It does come out kind of fake on this, but here's what I'm saying. If that's your thought process, I'm not against it at all. But you got to practice what you preach, though. If you really want to come out there and put grudges and live your life differently, then you need to go all the way with it. Don't just go halfway with it. And like I said on my Facebook, I feel like once Valentine's Day over, which is pretty much when the All-Star game is here in Chicago, everyone's going to be right back to normal to where they were.
Yeah.
Being the same nonsense. So if you was a fool before Kobe's death, I feel like after the All-Star game, you'll be back to the foolishness.
That's just kind of what life is at the end of the day, though, right? It's just like some things remind you that, you've got work to do. And sometimes those things are weird things, and I think sometimes it does take a death of somebody like this, and just it wasn't even the death. It was the video of Jay Williams saying that sometimes of just people sort of coming to terms, right, and just needing that extra nudge. But, yeah, I agree. I mean, obviously, I have this mind process that anytime somebody's trying to improve themselves and improve their situation, it's a good thing. I don't even care if it's coming from this artificial place where, people are being fake about, because there is a lot of fake sympathy right now flying around. A lot of Facebook and Instagram influencers taking their Kobe selfie and, hashtagging all the hashtags so they can get their likes. And, there's some, again, that's just a part of our modern day world. But, yeah, I don't want to, honestly, I don't want to harp too much on it because, again, I think the Kobe mentality is like, you know what, keep pushing and we're not gonna we're gonna obviously, Kobe's a legend in the game, and now we will never forget about who Kobe Bryant is. The NBA is gonna clearly go and do some
because there's reports about him about changing the logo to him now.
I wouldn't, that's fine, but what I'm okay with is what's happening right now.
Yeah.
These tributes of the 8-second violation, the 24-second violation, and the if they want to have a Jackie Robinson like day on 8/24 whatever, and have everyone wear 8 and 24, fine. But
which they might be doing at the All-Star game.
They are going to do it. Yeah, Team Gianna, but one team is going to wear Gianna's number, which was 2 in Mamba Academy, and one is going to wear 24 for Kobe. So again, we want to just kind of send our love and sympathy out to Kobe and his family, Gianna, his daughter, Alyssa Altabelli, her mother, Carrie, her father, John, were also on the helicopter, and another basketball assistant coach, Christina Mauser, and then Peyton Chester, one of Gianna's teammates, and Peyton's mother, Sarah, and that includes the gentleman who was flying the helicopter at the time. I believe it was Ara Zobayan. So again, rest in peace to all the victims. And
one of those guys was Aaron Judge's old
he was an amazing baseball coach. Yeah. I think that was that was John Altabelli.
Yep.
Great baseball coach, Orange Coast College. A lot of people said great things about him. So again, guys, take what you want out of this. I never like to be the preachy type, but yeah, I still do believe that Jay Williams had the best message to move forward with, which is, just try and improve yourself a little bit and get better at telling people you love them.
And then Steven was saying that Shaq hasn't been the same since. He's
been a little bit off lately because he lost his sister too, like a couple months ago.
Yeah,
he's been off for the last couple months. Honestly, he does a lot. He works a lot. He does that DJing stuff, which I followed his Instagram, DJ Diesel, I think is what it is. And I always thought it was a joke. I thought he was going to festivals and like going to festivals as a fan and then like showing up on stage and getting behind the turntables. But apparently he really is doing these gigs, and he's actually going out to Miami and doing the Super Bowl party this year. And he's talked about how he like sleeps 3 hours a night and is barely home, and he barely gets to see his kids. At some point, man, how much success do you need, and how much money do you need, and how much do you need to work?
Right.
I think the value of work to me, man, is I do believe in a good day's work, right, and the value of a good day's work. But I also believe that there's a certain point where you have to find a balance and balance who you are. And it was clear during the tribute where Dwayne Wade and everyone on the TNT team was sort of huddled around mid-court in the darkness of Staples. And it was clear that Shaq was just not right, and he might need to take some time off.
Seriously. I'm pretty sure Kenny Smith, Eddie, and Charles.
I'm pretty sure Chuck is going to, take some time off, and some of these guys, so take some time off, please, Shaq.
Yeah, and trust me, I think the NBA on TNT will find some guys, and you guys take time off. They got backups. Yeah. Right. I mean, hell, pretty soon it's going to be March Madness.
Oh, yeah.
But I swear on my life, if they bring Charles Barkley back for March Madness,
he's terrible.
Everyone that is in charge of that needs to be fired.
He's only on it because of TNT.
Terrible.
Yeah, he's only on it because of TNT.
He is horrible.
Yeah.
This man knows nothing about college basketball.
And he admits
if it's not about Auburn, and they still cut this man a check to talk about college basketball. Stop it.
And at least Kenny tries. Kenny admits that he starts watching, around this time of the year.
Yes.
Charles is just like, yeah, I watched him like once, 2 months ago, and da-da-da.
What's the one guy that got suspended from, was it Duke? Oh, I can't think of his name. Got suspended from Duke. I want to say it was Duke. And then he brought his name up, and then what's his name? Eddie was like, well, he's suspended for the tournament. A little research goes a long way, Chuck. God bless you. Knew where you were coming.
His job seriously. So.
Seriously, man. Steven, I'm gonna get to your wrestling. Steven tells me Joe Buck to the rescue. God bless. Well, what's the Super Bowl on this year? Is that on Fox?
I think it's Fox.
We'll
check.
Yeah, check. I don't know why I think it's CBS. Excuse me. I think it was on CBS last year too, though. But Steven, I'm going to get to your wrestling comments here in a little bit. Keith Robbins tells me that Shaq Barrett was snubbed, so I'm assuming he did not win Defensive Player of the Year because Lamar Jackson was just named the MVP. So we'll look at that.
Defensive player too. That's weird.
I know. We're going to see. Sean says Nick rocking them cheaters. Pimping ain't easy all day, dude. Got to find you. Dude, I go to. Here's the thing that sucks about shopping at Burlington Coat Factory. They think that every person that shops at Burlington Coat Factory wants to wear Coogee and all that other young man BS. I don't want to wear none of that. That's why I like finding these Sean John shirts. They're nice size. They're comfortable. I don't need all the funny baloney logos. I just want it to look good.
Yeah.
I don't need all that. I don't wear chains. I barely wear watches. So I don't need the Fat Albert, all that Coogee and Academic. I don't know what the hell's even out there anymore because grown men are wearing skinny jeans.
I'm behind on fashion.
Which, by the way, speaking of skinny jeans, I hear that Lil Wayne, for whatever reason, decided to come out with a mixtape the other day, and everyone's saying that it is the absolute drizzling doo-doo.
His last couple have been pretty...
That's because Lil Wayne just ain't got it anymore. Yeah. It's not the Carter 1, 2, 3 Wayne we got.
Yeah.
Okay? The Carter 4 was all right. The Carter 5 was total
Garbage.
ass.
Yeah, it was garbage.
And the only reason why everyone's like, oh, this is such a great album is because they hang on the balls of Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
Dude, he's done.
Yeah.
Okay, he's done.
He's still hanging on to Carter 3 as if that was like, last album. Like Carter 3, I will give is one of the best one of my favorite albums.
Oh yeah, easily.
But after Carter 3, especially these last couple, like he used to put out like 10 mixtapes a year, and they all used to be really good.
Right.
And I think he sort of has this ego that I could still do that with albums.
Right.
And man, I listened to one track, like even like the Eminem album, which I wasn't even that big of a fan of. I like that 10 times better than I did the song that I heard.
He
about
says
Wayne.
it went to Stephon Gilmore.
Oh, the Patriots corner. Okay,
Yeah.
I mean,
I guess 19 and a half sacks means nothing. I guess it means absolutely nothing.
They don't give love to the pass rushers as much anymore. Now it's like more so the interior linebackers and safeties.
Yeah, which is nonsense.
And then I guess Gilmore, who's a corner. I mean, did he even have that eye-popping of stats this year?
Dude, yeah, he kind of did.
Okay.
Because I know that he ranked on one of the highest percentages of like least balls thrown in their direction.
See, that's the problem with the corner is, the best corners don't have the best numbers all the time because they don't get thrown to a lot. So
Yeah. And then Stevens letting me know that Mika Zibanejad scored. The Rangers are up 1-0 in the first. Thank God. Hey, Steven, who's in net? I think it's Lundqvist because the young phenom, Igor the Great Shesterkin, was in net yesterday. I mean, once again, the Detroit Red Wings freaking blow. You want to talk about a hockey team on a full rebuild?
Blow it up. They refuse to blow it up, too. That's the worst part. They delayed getting rid of their pieces for like 2 years, and now look at them.
Horrible. They're horrible. But the Rangers going to be making some moves here pretty soon because
you used to talk about to get into somebody or selling?
Selling,
okay.
Yeah, we got to get rid of Georgiev soon. Chris Kreider could be gone soon. Pavel Buchnevich could be gone soon. Just a few guys just to name out there.
See, the problem with the Blackhawks is they've played themselves back into contention. So there's still a sniff of playoff hope within the locker room, and the team is not good enough, but they're still scrapping away points. And it's, you feel conflicted as a fan. You're like, I don't want to see this kind of consistently mediocre product for the rest of the next 3 years. But at the same time, you're always intrigued by winning, games and trying to make the playoffs. But realistically, the best case scenario for the Blackhawks would have been the last 2 or 3 weeks to go really badly,
right?
And to hope that maybe we can start to make some trades. But right now, it's not looking like that's going to happen. They're actually getting more healthy now. Brandon Saad coming back, Dylan Strome coming back. So the problem with the Blackhawks has always been defense. We just aren't good defensively.
Right.
We have always been slow defensively, and then now this year it's very obvious we've got guys who are 35 or 40 years old on the ice, and guys are just skating right around our defense, and it's embarrassing because Robin Lehner has had a tremendous season, but if you look at his numbers, he hasn't because his defense is so bad, and that's why hockey, especially, man, sometimes it's not about having the best players. Sometimes it's about like we need people who can do what we want to do,
right? And
right now the Blackhawks just don't have that personnel quite yet.
Let's see. Sean says, excuse me. Sean says, we all know Lamar Jackson isn't the real MVP. Come on now. Hashtag Mahomie. I don't know, man. Like, I'm not saying I'm not saying that Patrick Mahomes didn't have a decent season, especially after missing 3 weeks with the ankle injury. But Lamar
numbers.
Jackson kind of took the NFL by storm, especially after they beat or lost to Kansas City. Mm-hmm. He kind of redefined his game, and that team went until they lost in the playoffs to Tennessee. They'd won 12 games in a row, which includes wins against the San Francisco 49ers.
This is a regular season award. It's not a postseason award.
Right.
This is a regular season, the 16 games award, and Lamar Jackson had the best 16 games of anybody.
Exactly. And since we're on the subject of football, we'll get into the Super Bowl here, but I wanted to bring something up because I was tagged in this a few times, and I still don't know what I think about it. But according to Peter King of Sports Illustrated, he says that he thinks that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are a strong dark horse to sign free agent to be quarterback Tom Brady. The rumor mill is the teams that are interested in him is the Chargers, the Raiders, him going back to New England, and now all of a sudden the Buccaneers have come in out of nowhere. It's kind of like that horse that's been like asked the first like 6 furlongs, and then as soon as you come around the corner, now all of a sudden this man's picking up a little bit of speed, trying to make the race interesting. That's where the Bucs are, and this is what I'll say about that. I'm not shocked about it, because I have said on this show that if Tampa Bay was to move on from Jameis, the smart thing to do is at 14. You sign you a veteran quarterback, and then you bring in maybe if a Tua, which I still don't think he falls down to 14. I heard this the other day too, where the Lions might entertain taking Tua at 3. Wow. And I for the longest time have been thinking the same thing, because you have no idea what you're about to get out from that Matt Stafford. No. Let's not forget that this man missed the last 7-8 weeks with a damn near broken back and damn near didn't tell anybody. And now it got to a point where he had to miss the remainder of the season. Yeah. So why not, if he's going to come in healthy, but I mean, and no offense to everybody in Detroit land, but you still haven't won a playoff game since G.H.W. Bush was in office. So what are you hanging on to Matt Stafford for? So if you feel like it's time to move on and bring a new face to Detroit, why not draft Tua at 3, let him sit out a year or so,
make sure that Stafford can do.
Exactly, and make sure that hip is 100%. Yeah. So when you put him out there, there's no questions about it. Yeah. Like, I feel like even though Tua's coming out, I still think that him having that 1 year, the Mahomes 1 year, I guess is a better way of putting it. The Aaron Rodgers 1 year is the best way of putting it. He could use that 1 year just to be healthy, just to make sure. Yeah. Like, don't rush the process. You got a whole NFL career in front of you, because if you didn't think you were good enough, you could have stayed your ass in Alabama.
Especially a hip thing. For a quarterback, a hip thing is important to get down. And honestly, I'm not surprised about the Buccaneers stuff, because what was the reason that Tom Brady – so the main reason a lot of people are saying that Tom Brady is pissed is that the Patriots may have semi-promised him that they were going to pay him a lot of money if they were able to restructure his contract a couple times, which they have. He's reconstructed his contract at least 3 or 4 times, and apparently he's a little bit disrespected about the fact that the Patriots still don't have a thought process of wanting to pay him. So what better team to do that than with the team that has a ton of shitload of cash to throw around?
And the Bucs fit that bill.
So and it's not like you're going to a bad offense. Jameis Winston just threw 30 touchdowns with the same offense, and you're probably going to be able to improve the offense around him. Yep. So
think about it. You're gonna be able to throw the ball to Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Perriman if they decide to bring him back, both Cameron Brate and O.J. Howard.
A better offensive line.
A better offensive line, because the Bucs could go offensive line, which I hope they do at 14. I could see them doing that. Here's all I'm saying. If the Bucs improve that offensive line, Tom Brady to Tampa Bay would make sense. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I would not be shocked if it did happen, and that somehow between Bruce Arians and Jason Light, they have some type of a contingency plan or what they'll do with life after Tom's over with. Because Tom Brady leaving New England to go to another team is no different than Joe Montana leaving the 49ers to go to the Chiefs. No different than Kurt Warner leaving the Rams to go to the Giants. No different from Favre leaving the Packers to go to the Jets and Vikings. You know, if Tom doesn't think he's done, but if you look at some of these other teams that he's rumored to go play with, I think the team with the most weaponry is Tampa Bay. I think it goes Tampa Bay, maybe Las Vegas, maybe the Chargers.
Chargers got some decent stuff, but they're not going to bring back Melvin Gordon, so they've got receivers. And in Oakland, they've got Josh Jacobs, but other than that, they don't really have receivers, and their offensive line is very good. So I personally think if he's not staying in New England, he's going to go to the Raiders, because it just makes sense to me. Like, that whole move to Las Vegas, first year in Las Vegas, and Gruden and the offensive line being strong and strong running game. But also, and Tom has been posting cryptic messages on Twitter and Instagram, like a high school ex-girlfriend, like, pictures of him, like just, captionless black and white photos of him in Gillette Stadium looking out. And, people are saying, oh, this is him saying goodbye to Gillette and, saying goodbye to the Patriots. I am not going to be surprised one bit if we hear, Tom Brady re-signs with the Patriots for 2 years, $60 million or whatever crazy number that would be. Because at the end of the day, Brady wants to get paid. This is what it comes down to. Brady wants to get paid. I think he realized after a little while, this is weird. I'm not making that much money. Like,
right.
I'm getting championships and competitive teams out of this, but I'm not making the same money that my colleagues are. And it's sad because, like, dude, he probably saw, like, dude, Dak really was talking about $40 million, and I'm sitting here making 26 because. And
let's not forget that Dak is a free agent,
and he might. And we talked about it, shortly after the season ended. We don't know. He might get an offer that's in the high 30s or, close to 40, because at this point, we know right now that, the quarterback position is obviously the most important position in football, right?
Right.
So, teams are going to go crazy a little bit to try and get that. Now, a team like the Bears probably isn't going to do that. A team like, a team that has a solid, footing right now is probably not going to do that. But there's a couple desperate teams. I'm kind of sick and tired of this whole Miami thing. Miami saying, they don't want to select a quarterback because they like what they have in Fitzpatrick and Rosen. Like, dude, get away from Fitzpatrick, man. Like, this guy is, I get it. He somehow finds a way to win meaningless games and put up numbers in meaningless games, but he's not a winning quarterback. Like, there's a reason why he's been on 12 teams or whatever it is.
That's true. Sean says Cam to the Bears. Steven
Cam Newton?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I'll take it. Do we have to trade something? I don't want to trade something for him, but if they cut him, I'll take him.
Well, they did cut Greg Olsen, and now
I know.
And now all the reports is he's already ready to sign with the Washington Redskins.
Really?
Which would be the smartest thing for the Redskins to do.
Yeah.
Because if Jordan Reed
doesn't retire,
it is not either A, retired,
Please
or
retire,
B,
dude.
the most overrated tight end in all football. I have this man cannot stay healthy. Every year you draft this fool in fantasy, he does not make it 2 weeks before he's gone for 6 weeks with some lower body injury. Like, how, dude?
And this year was concussion stuff, which is even scarier.
I mean, it is the worst.
He missed
every time,
8 weeks with a concussion. Like, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, every time you look up, this man is hurt. So might as well. And Ron Rivera already making moves.
Smart.
Making moves. So maybe Daniel Snyder finally is catching on and getting rid of some of this BS that he's had with Mike Shanahan's stupid ass and Jay Gruden's even dumb stupid ass. And
apparently they fired Bruce Allen and everything sort of changed. And they needed a guy like Ron Rivera to change the culture too, because people didn't want to play for the Redskins. Like, that was something that Josh Norman was saying the last 2 years, that, like, it's not really fun to play here. Like, we don't have fun doing this shit. So
Sean saying Cam to the Bears is the talk at the Super Bowl from players. So they think that Carolina. I think what he's trying to say is, it sounds like Carolina is damn near ready to cut.
Right. If they're ready
ties
to cut him,
with Cam Newton,
more power to them.
And go out there, because I've also heard rumors that Carolina might be interested in drafting Justin Herbert from Oregon.
That makes sense. There's going to be 2 or 3 quarterbacks that sort of fall through the cracks, because we're not going to see. Okay, we know right now that Joe Burrow is going to go first. Washington is at 2, and we really think that it has to be like a Chase Young or even offensive line. I would be okay with. After that, though, there's a bunch of teams.
You got the Lions at 3.
Lions at 3, and you got a bunch of teams that could draft a quarterback, but maybe don't want to. And they're saying there could be a couple of quarterbacks that fall into the 20s, into the 30s, and even into the second round. So
I think Jalen Hurts fits that bill.
Yeah,
I think
for
the
sure.
kid Jacob Eason from Washington might fit that bill. It's a lot.
They like him. A lot of people like that kid too, and they're saying he'll be a second rounder. That's pretty crazy. I'd take him on the Bears for sure.
And there's a lot of people that think that he should have stayed in Washington one more year. But a lot of people are saying, I think they got a new coach in there. He would have to learn a new system. Like, why not? There's a lot of, and like you said, a lot of people like him. There's a lot of tools in there.
Yeah.
Christopher Brown says, only way Newton comes to the Bears, Sean, is if they tell Danny Trevathan and another major piece of the roster to go so they can afford Cam.
Trevathan's not coming back anyways. He's a free agent, so he's not going to come back. I read a thing on this. They're not going to be able to bring back Kwiatkowski or Trevathan. Trevathan might come back on a team-friendly deal, but you're going to have to cut Prince Amukamara. You're going to have to cut Taylor Gabriel. There's a couple of other candidates on that list. The Bears are in trouble cap-wise, so they're not going to have money. That's why I'm saying if you're going to bring in Cam, I really don't see that happen. The reason I don't see that happen is not necessarily because he won't fit on the team. It's because the Bears have other holes they have to fill.
Yeah.
They need a cornerback. They need a safety. They need another middle linebacker. They need another defensive lineman. They need like 3 offensive linemen. They need a tight end. Like, this is not a team that's that has the luxury to spend $25 million on a quarterback.
Sean says he heard it on ESPN 1000 that Waddle and Sylvie were out to dinner and Chiefs players was telling them that they're going to get Cam Newton.
Waddle and Sylvie, though, I mean,
and he's saying that these are people that are close friends with Cam. So when there's fire, when there's smoke, there's fire. So
yeah, but also you know how it is. Cam wants out of there. And he's probably doing everything he can to get out of there. That smoke might be coming from his camp. His camp may be saying, yeah, they're fed up with him. They may not be. Like, at the end of the day, because what happens is it depends how much dead cap he has. If he has dead cap and you're the Panthers, why would you hamstring yourself just to get rid of somebody? You know, like, I get it. He's been hurt, but he's been hurt. So it's not like he's been a shitty quarterback. He's just been hurt. And he was a shitty quarterback for a long time last year before we found out he was playing hurt.
Right.
So, again, if the Bears are going to make a move, I don't think it's going to be for someone of Cam's caliber. I really think it's going to be an Andy Dalton. I think they're going to try hard for Alex Smith. And, at the end of the day, I said it 2 weeks ago, and I got a couple messages from people saying, how are you saying quarterback is not a priority for the Bears? Because they need 10 other positions. And right now they have a quarterback in Mitch Trubisky that they're trying to develop, and anybody that you bring in there would be competition for him. And I just don't see that as a priority.
Jason. Wow. Steven wants to know Jason Witten, the Big Blue.
To the Giants?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know, because the Giants have Evan Ingram,
and they're going to pay him. He's a free agent this year, but they're going to pay him.
I think Jason Witten. I don't think that move really makes sense for the Giants.
He would probably rather retire anyway.
Yeah, I think he needs to either just retire or just stay with Dallas.
It was tough to watch him. He can catch the ball, but like, the dude is like,
he cannot move.
He's 3 yard. He's a 3 yard catch, and he's done every single time. Like, sometimes you just gotta retire, bro. Like,
like, it was a cool idea to come back. The booth wasn't for you, but the field's not for you either.
I forgot who said this. I think it might have been Steven Jackson. He's a basketball player. He was talking about Jason Witten. Talk about the only reason why he unretires because he sucks so bad at broadcasting, which I can't go against it because he was really bad in the booth. So maybe he was like, fuck it, I'll go and play and make more money doing it too. So why not?
Christopher is saying that if they want a tight end, they can give a team-friendly deal to Greg Olsen to have at least one last season in Chicago.
I don't think he's forgiven the Bears.
Draft
I don't think he's forgiven the Bears. I think he's still pissed about it. And Bears fans are still pissed, too, about how Mike Martz was such a dumbass that he decided that he wanted to trade one of our best offensive players for, I think it was a 5th-round pick, because he said it wouldn't fit in his system. His system sucked anyways.
Yeah.
And the worst part is Jay Cutler said that changed the Bears forever.
You heard that interview too?
Yeah, I heard it. Yeah. He essentially said that after that trade, he hated Mike Martz, and a lot of people hated Mike Martz. And Earl Bennett, who's been coming out with a lot of little tidbits here and there every single couple of weeks on Twitter about old Bears teams, talked about how people were really upset by that and how players almost were like, dude, what the fuck? This guy was a 6'4", 6'5" guy who can catch the ball with one hand if he needed to, can stride down the field. They weren't getting him
big-time security blanket.
Weren't able even to get him the ball when he was there. It was so sad. And when you have a weapon that's that good and you're saying my system doesn't fit it, your system sucks then. Yeah. Because this guy is easy. Right when he went to Carolina, what happened? Immediately 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns for whoever was throwing him the ball.
Yeah. And that's why, and it's that reason why I'm so against the Buccaneers getting rid of O.J. Howard.
Yeah.
Because O.J. Howard, tight ends doesn't fit in Byron Leftwich. You need to figure it out then. Yeah. You can't, dude, O.J. Howard is one of the most physical, gifted tight ends that you're going to see.
He's got to figure it out, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he doesn't. Yeah. I'm just saying when healthy and if he can get his head right, dude, he can be that 1,000-yard guy that Greg Olsen can be.
He's got the physicals,
right, and I just don't want to just give up on him because it hasn't worked out or because it doesn't fit in Byron Leftwich's in the BA system and all that other BS of reasons why we just want to get rid of somebody. That'll drive me absolutely nuts.
Me too.
Sean says, I think if Alex Smith is 100%, he's still the Bears QB. Christopher Brown says Olsen was dealt to Carolina for the 3rd round. They flipped to get Brandon Marshall from Miami. And then Steven says that Jason Witten must have taken lessons from Joe Buck in the booth. That's why he came back in the NFL. Dude, Steven hates Joe Buck. And let me tell you what, I wouldn't say hate, but I'm tired of listening to him. I said this last week. It's a lot of old guys that need to just stop doing broadcasting. Let's get some young, fresh blood. And if that means that in the offseason, some Fox, NBC, or CBS executive that are making 6 figures has to actually take time to actually do research and listen to some great talent. You got 2 guys right here that could probably do it 50 times better than these old farts you have over here. Matter of fact, not to jump into wrestling, but Jim Ross has been under a lot of heat as of late because he's been out here naming the wrong names of wrestlers. Another stupid-ass move. Another stupid-ass move from freaking AEW. Why you would bring back Jim Ross past his prime.
For the name.
That's all it was, dude. This is what they did. They brought back Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone, and Excalibur. The biggest mistake out of that is that Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone are the same thing. They're the play-by-play guys.
Right.
So you're going to ask Tony Schiavone, who was like the head play-by-play guy for so many years for WCW, and then you got Jim Ross, which speaks for himself between WCW, but his heyday was really in the WWE. You're going to tell Tony Schiavone to take a back seat? Come on, man. Stupid. And that's what we're doing now. Think about it. Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, great. No offense to ESPN, I would not get your hopes up. Something tells me that I think Tony Romo is comfortable with CBS, with Jim Nantz, and that's where he should stay.
Yeah.
Sorry, ESPN. Another one. You got guys out there making 6-7 figures that you can't hold some type of competition to get some guys to come in there that can actually do a better, decent job than Booger McFarlane and Joe Tessitore.
There's like 4 or 5 guys that do panel shows that would be better. Like Theo Riddick. I like Theo Riddick. I think he does a good job, and I think he would be decent in the booth. He's had a couple of games in the booth, but only on those makeup games. Speaking of baseball, Matt Vasgersian, I like him for baseball announcing. Yeah. They should replace Joe Buck with Matt Vasgersian. I really like Matt Vasgersian.
Yes. Does a great job on FS1.
Yeah.
A great job. Phenomenal job.
And I think he does the Sunday night games with Alex Rodriguez.
That's right. I forget he is on ESPN.
Yeah,
I forgot.
And I like Jessica Mendoza, but she really rubbed me the wrong way with that Houston with the whole Mike Fire shit.
Yeah.
Like, I really liked her, but when I read that, I was super fucking disappointed because she knows what she's talking about, and it's sad to see somebody who knows what they're talking about say some shit like that.
Yeah. By the way, I know this is not going to be a popular opinion, but due to my single status, and I still feel like J-Lo and Shakira are both smoking hot, I will pay some attention to this Super Bowl halftime show. I will. Like last year, it was flipping Maroon 5 with Travis Scott, who looks a lot like A$AP Rocky, and I can't freaking tell the two apart. Yeah. I'm like, are you guys sure this is Travis Scott? And of course, all the youngins are like, Nick, that's Travis Scott. I was like, well, why does he look like A$AP Rocky? Looks like the same flipping guy. Okay, so it's going to be Shakira and J-Lo. J-Lo at 50 whatever is smoking hot. Wow. So congrats, A-Rod, for finally being the Prince Charming she's been looking for. And then Shakira speaks for herself. And I don't think she's with that Venezuelan or Colombian prince or whatever the hell she was halfway married to.
Like Rihanna broke up with her little Arab prince too. So her billionaire prince, which is the new trend nowadays. You're like,
yeah, because Janet Jackson married some French billionaire.
Yeah, that's the new thing. It's like not even good enough that you're already a billionaire superstar. I need to marry another billionaire so that we can combine our billions and keep fucking over the common folk.
Yeah, but I think it's just those two. I don't think there's any like special.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't think I've watched or attended one halftime show. Maybe I think what was the one I want to say was it. No, it wasn't the Red Hot Chili Peppers. There was one that
Bruno Mars with Red Hot Chili Peppers?
No, it wasn't. I think there was one that I watched. I was like, okay, this is decent. But other than like the Lady Gaga one was just so bad. And like, I don't understand why. I get it with like Shakira and Jennifer Lopez. It's like, ooh, girls will stay for the names and guys will stay for the looks. But like, can we get somebody that's related to football in some way, right? Like, I guess the whole thing this year was that a lot of black artists were saying they were gonna try and stand in solidarity with Colin Kaepernick. Rihanna came out and said she wasn't gonna do it, and she encouraged I think somebody else to do it, and then Jay-Z was like, "No, the NFL is doing a good job, and let's try and let's not shut out the NFL." And Jay-Z's become very intertwined in the NFL thing, and I would predict that Jay-Z is on the horizon of trying to join an NFL ownership group very soon here. I don't know who it would be. I don't think the Jets are for sale. Are the Jets for sale?
I don't think
so. So, to me, that's a guy who is a very good businessman who sees that as an opportunity, because a lot of people were mad at him because of the whole Colin Kaepernick thing and him basically coming out and saying he supports Colin Kaepernick, but at the same time doing this backdoor deal with the NFL.
Right.
I won't lie. That was a little bit shady in my mind too. But at the end of the day, he's a businessman, and sounds like a lot of that had to do with business.
Sean says The Who. He thinks The Who was that.
That might have been the band, because there was one band that was pretty good, and I think it might have been The Who.
There was one. I mean, obviously we have the Michael Jackson show.
Oh yeah,
that was many moons ago. That was great.
I only watched that on replays.
Prince was a great show.
Janet Jackson, Justin Timberlake. Oh, never mind. Sorry.
Right. My bad.
Sorry.
The wardrobe malfunction.
Sorry.
Tom Petty was one of my favorites.
That was a good one too, yeah.
And I think Tom Petty was the Bears-Colts Super Bowl.
That's right. Yeah, I was thinking Saints. I was thinking that Saints Super Bowl, but no, you're right. It is the Bears one, yeah.
And then I think the one before that, I forget who was in that Super Bowl. I think that I want to say it was either one before, because I know that I saw Prince at my house when I used to throw big-time Super Bowl parties. I know for a fact I saw the Bears-Colts one at my house, so that's how I know that Prince that Tom Petty was one, and he was singing all the classic songs. Free Falling, I Won't Back Down, Last Dance with Mary Jane. What's the other one that I like by Tom Petty? I know Free Falling was definitely on there, because I was singing. Me and my buddy AJ was singing it, because everyone was sitting there like, who's this white guy on the stage? Brother, this is Tom Petty. What are you talking about? And I'm free. Come on, that's a classic song. Free Falling. Yeah. I'm telling you, man, that was a great one. So, Let's see. Christopher Brown said earlier Jim Ross went back to AEW after his wife died. That I forgot about that.
Oh, okay.
Jay-Z can always buy the Chargers and move them to St. Louis. And guys, don't forget the XFL starts in 7 days. Forgot about that.
I don't care about that.
Yeah,
I'll probably watch it like on replay or whatever, but I won't go.
Watching the XFL is just basically meatheads that are just I gotta have football 24/7.
You know who those guys are? Those are guys who talk shit about basketball and hockey. Those are guys who are like football or nothing else. Like
baseball's
boring. Basketball just a bunch of dudes.
Just a bunch of dudes.
Yeah, it's like
crybabies.
Yeah, and then XFL meatheads are like
hockey. There's not even any black guys in hockey. Which I love that excuse.
I'll give credit to the XFL. They're trying to switch shit up and they're trying to make it different, but at the end of the day, it's football, and I guarantee you, everybody that is hopping up and down like a bunch of momos talking about the XFL is going to be, the second sort of coming, and it's going to be exactly what football needs, and it's going to give us year-round football. I wouldn't hold my breath about that, quite frankly, because even like I get it, the other football league that they had not too long ago, whatever
that was called, yeah, that's how
folded. Yeah, that folded. Let's remember that was funded by the NFL. Like that was sponsored by the NFL, and it couldn't get its feet off the ground. This one's relying all on Vince McMahon's money and his conglomerate's money. So we'll see what happens. I can't imagine the product on the field is going to be that great either way. They were talking about, well, they've had a year to prepare, so the football is going to be much better, and people are going to buy into it. So we'll see. But and the whole thing about Jay-Z buying a team, I quite frankly think that he may be a guy that would be like a guy. Let's do an expansion team. So we'll see.
I'm with him. Yeah, first off, piss off to what's his name own the Rams? Stan Kroenke.
Stan Kroenke, yeah.
Piss off for freaking leaving
Asshole.
St. Louis to go to monkey ass LA.
For nothing but money.
Yeah.
He tried to make it seem like it was something like, well, we're going to bring back the nostalgia of the LA Rams. Like, nah, dude, you did it for money. And you screwed St. Louis in the process.
So I'm kind of with I hope somebody brings football back to St. Louis.
They might as well just get a couple expansion teams. Fuck it, man. Let's shake this thing up a bit.
Why not? So there's this thing called the Super Bowl coming up tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
May or may not have heard of it. You may have heard of the Chiefs. You may have heard of the 49ers. One plays in the NFC in San Francisco. One plays in the AFC in Kansas City. And I'll tell you what. I think of all the years of the Super Bowl, I feel like you've always had like 70-30 when it comes to who's going to win. You knew who's going to win. So like last year, there was 70% of people that said that they knew that the Patriots would win. There was that 30 that really wanted LA to win.
Yeah.
The year before that was
the Eagles.
The Patriots and Eagles, right? 70% really thought the Patriots were going to win. 30% wanted the Eagles to win just to beat Philadelphia. Beat New England and see the Eagles win their first title. This year, I swear on my life, has been the biggest 50-50 split because what it is, you have Isaac Bruce in the Hall of Fame. Yes, Sean Turner brings up the Isaac Bruce in the Hall of Fame.
Well,
I just feel the problem is that you don't know who's going to win or show up. So basically, we know that there's so much speed on the Kansas City Chiefs offense that it's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
We know that the toughest job in this Super Bowl is the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line because they're going to have their hands full with this front seven of the San Francisco 49ers. We know that the San Francisco 49ers' strongest suit right now, per se, is that front seven. It's the most talented front seven in all of football, okay? Now, the matchup that we probably need to start talking about is the San Francisco 49ers offense against the Chiefs defense. The Chiefs defense has played much better. But people forget that the San Francisco offense actually averaged more points per game than the Kansas City Chiefs that everybody's all hyped up on.
Yep.
So I think that's the matchup. But here's where I think it's the biggest X factor. And I was still on the fence going into today.
Wow.
But I have finally decided who I'm going to choose to win Super Bowl 54. Here's my thing. I don't trust San Francisco's secondary.
Okay.
Darrelle Revis was calling out Richard Sherman, saying that Richard Sherman is not an on-the-ball defender.
Which they've been saying about him his whole career.
But think about it. There is some truth to this. What's the one biggest knock on Richard Sherman? That Richard Sherman could not go one-on-one against big receivers that might be a little bit more physical than him. Because I remember in one game, it didn't happen this year, but it happened a couple years back. I think he was in Seattle still when Mike Evans had a career day against Richard Sherman. You know, and I know Richard Sherman's like 6'3", he's a tall guy. Mike Evans is 6'5", so you think that'd be an even matchup. Mike Evans ate on him all day. I don't think that zone is going to work against the speed of the Kansas City Chiefs. Tyreek Hill, speed. Sammy Watkins, who, oh, by the way, led the Chiefs in receiving in the game against Tennessee, still has speed.
In the playoffs.
He's coming out in the playoffs. And who's the other wide receiver that I'm forgetting that's got blazing speed too? Sean, help me out.
Mecole Hardman.
Bingo. With arguably we're seeing the two best tight ends in football.
Yeah.
And when I look at San Francisco's losses, I think San Francisco in those losses, and I look at that game especially against Seattle, they could not handle Seattle's speed. DK Metcalf is a freak of nature who has speed.
Yeah.
Tyler Lockett is a guy who gets open that Russell Wilson finds that has speed. I think Patrick Mahomes is not a scrambly quarterback who can throw. He's a pocket passer who can throw that just happens to know how to scramble, but scramble smart.
Yeah.
I'm going with the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. And I know that we're in Rolling Meadows and this is Jimmy Garoppolo country and blah, 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 and all this.
Careful how you talk about it.
And I got to be careful on how I say it, all this other nonsense. But let me say that I have been talking about the Chiefs, putting them in the same category as the 2006 Indianapolis Colts, who, by the way, faced an amazing defense themselves in Brian Urlacher and the boys in Chicago, and the greatest quarterback that's ever suited up and put on a jersey and cleats and Peyton Manning picked them fools apart. I see Patrick Mahomes officially breaking the Madden curse. He's almost there, and he's going to break the Madden curse this year and probably be the first Madden player to finally win a Super Bowl. So I'm going to take the Chiefs. I'm going to go 35-24 Chiefs over the 49ers. And it took me 2 weeks and before this show to figure this out, but I'm sticking with it. I'm etching it in stone. Chiefs win their first Super Bowl.
Would it be ever?
I think ever. They haven't been in one in 50 years.
Yeah.
And I think they lost the first two
Correct
to
us
Green
if
Bay.
we're wrong about that, Sean. Yeah. It's hard to argue with what you're talking about. I will say this about Richard Sherman. It's not that Richard Sherman doesn't want to or can't, follow the number one guy. He's most effective on defenses where he stays on one side of the field at all times. So that's the knock that corners and a lot of true number one corners, what they would call shutdown corners, have a problem with that because they think that if you're a shutdown corner, you should follow the opposing team's best receiver at all times. And that's just not the way that the defenses that he's played on worked. That's not even the first time that I've heard someone bring up the matchup between the Bears and the Colts in this matchup. It's a good comparison because both of those teams, the San Francisco defense and the former Bears defense, rely a lot on the zone and basically getting to you before you can crack their zone. But my point is, What did Peyton Manning and those Colts do really well in that Super Bowl? They ran the ball really well against the Bears. Not because they outwilled them. Remember, it was like raining in the second half of that game.
That's fact.
It was, kind of a weird game, but they were running the ball a lot. And not only were they running the ball, like they weren't even traditionally running the ball. It was a lot of draw plays, a lot of screen passes. I forgot what running back it was for the Colts that year, but he absolutely tore up the Bears that game. I forgot what his name is, just out of sheer need for getting rid of that depressing moment in my young life. But
it wasn't Edgerrin James.
It wasn't Edgerrin James. No, it was one of the guys that I think he played with Edgerrin, but he was a nut. I'll have to look it up first. But yeah, I see, again, it's hard to argue with what you're saying because you're spitting facts about the zone and about the speed on Kansas City. My one problem is that if Kansas City had a smoother road to the Super Bowl, I would have given them a little bit more, firepower going into this. But the way that they entered into those Houston games and in the game against Tennessee, where they scuffled for the first half. And what happens a lot in the Super Bowl is people tend to rely on what happened and what was working for the last 18 weeks. And again, we talked about this when we first knew what the Super Bowl matchup was. In my mind, the Super Bowl is 60 minutes of the rest of your season. And you can change the game plan very easily. And we saw it last week. San Francisco threw the ball, 8 times?
8 times.
And they won the game. And by the way, won it in a blowout, too. It's hard to make an estimation on the score here because I think it's going to be a lower scoring game for some reason. I think what's going to end up happening is I think Kansas City is going to make San Francisco throw the ball. I think that's what they're going to want San Francisco to do. So I see a lot of Tyrann Mathieu at the line of scrimmage, a lot of trying to intimidate Jimmy G into going away from the Kittles and going away from, you're going to have to see Emmanuel Sanders eat and Deebo Samuel eat. It's going to suck for San Francisco because I don't think Tevin Coleman's going to play, but Raheem Mostert is obviously having a tremendous run going into this game. So, I'm still going to stick with San Francisco, though. I think at the end of the day, defensive consistency, I think, is something that I value a little bit more than I do offensive consistency. And even on the consistency portion for Kansas City, they haven't been consistent. Mm-hmm. They've been explosive, but they haven't been consistent. So I still see San Francisco. That front seven is so scary. When they need to be. And the biggest thing that's scary about them is Robert Salah, their defensive coordinator.
Right.
The way that he runs a game plan is very much to make you do what you're worst at. That's what he does. So he's forcing you to he's evaluating what you feel you're worst at as an offense and making you do that to win the game. And I think what they're going to force Kansas City to do is run the ball. I think they're going to force Kansas City to try and run the ball. They're saying LaShawn McCoy is going to be a healthy scratch for this game, that he is healthy, but they don't want him to suit up. So clearly Kansas City is happy with Damian Williams, happy with Darrell Williams, and whoever else they've got back there. But I sincerely think San Francisco is going to stack the box to start, make Kansas City have to run the ball to start, and then they're going to jam all these fast receivers at the line of scrimmage and hope they don't get past it. I have San Francisco 21-17.
There it is.
Easy enough.
Easy enough. And then when we come next week, we'll recap the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Then
I just hope it's a good game, honestly, man. It always bums me out. Like that Philadelphia New England game, very good game. There's been a couple of really good games, but remember that Denver Seattle game.
Is that when Seattle blew them out
like 50-43
to
8, and like those games.
Last year's was kind of
too, because the Rams, I don't want to say this, but oddly similar to the San Francisco, the way that it happened this year, where the Rams sort of came out of, and they didn't really come out of nowhere, but sort of took the next step that people weren't expecting, and then they had this amazing regular season, and then sort of scuffled their way into the Super Bowl, and obviously we know how that ended, so we'll see how things end. I just typically right now, I can't, I always have to give it to the more defensive football team, so we'll see. Let's hope for a good game, man.
Sean says Kansas City is going to score 17 in the first quarter. And then Steven says that the over-under of the game is 54.5. I'm taking the over.
Yeah, I always tend to think that these things go a little bit different than what you think they're going to go with. And I think the obvious thing to say right now is that this is going to be a high-scoring game. You know, I don't think it has to be. I think it could be a very well be one of those games that has a under on that. But yeah, you never know. Especially in Miami. Again, we'll see what the weather's going to look like. I think they said that the preliminary they jumped the gun a little bit on the predictions last week, and they were thinking it was going to rain or maybe some sleet, but should be good.
How Miami does not have a retractable roof is beyond me.
I know.
What the hell? Are you kidding
rainy,
me?
You know. Yeah, they're saying somehow miraculously it's been cloudy and rainy all week, and it's going to be cloudy and rainy all week next week, but somehow miraculously tomorrow it's going to be 69 and sunny with no precipitation.
God must know that the Super Bowl is
God's
tomorrow.
God's like, listen, America loves that Super Bowl, so
he's like, look, I made it rain one time down there.
I'm not going to do it again.
To let, my son, Peyton Manning, pick the Bears apart in this crappy weather, but I can't do it to my next son and Patrick Jesus Mahomes.
Oh, that's what I have to look up. I have to look up the running back from that. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I don't know why.
I'm blanking on it, too. Colts.
Oh, snap. I need to go back to some comments because, as a matter of fact, damn it, because I had to reset my phone. Steven was talking about that he wants the title to come off of Brock Lesnar. The Royal Rumble was Sunday. And I'm going to tell you what, for what it's worth, the Royal Rumble, the men's match, was actually pretty damn decent. And the reason why I'm saying
Dominic Rhodes was the running back.
Was it Dominic Rhodes?
Joseph Adai and Dominic
That's
Rhodes,
who I'm thinking of. Adai.
Dominic Rhodes had 113 yards on 21 carries and a touchdown. Joseph Adai 77 for 19 carries, or 77 yards on 19 carries. So a total of 200 yards that they ran on the Bears that
Steven says just like our baseball stadiums. But you know what though? I don't expect a lot of the baseball stadiums to have retractable roofs. It happens
in the summer.
Because it's in the summer.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. When you're in Miami, for whatever reason, it just rains a lot in the winter, I guess.
But doesn't I might be mistaken about this, but isn't the Marlins, don't they have a retractable roof, or is that just that goofy?
It's retractable.
Lime green. Okay, it is.
No,
right?
It's retractable.
Yeah, because they got that goofy lime green Marlin in center field that Derek Jeter probably spent $50 million on. I don't.
Maybe spent $50 million to get rid of.
That might have been there before he got there. But
yeah,
still,
no, it was there before he got there.
Whoever's idea was a bad idea.
It's so funny, and I'll get back to wrestling here in a second. I'm glad you brought Jeter's name up. I've been seeing like the Marlins fans like throwing in little snippets that they're making a move here and there. God, dude, you want to talk about grasping at pure straws? Like, yeah, man, we went out there and got I'm just gonna throw in there like Jed Lowry's gonna play second base because we don't know what's gonna happen with Starlin Castro. Really? You're really that excited about it? Because what? That's gonna get you from 50 wins to maybe 62?
Yeah.
God, you're still going to rot in the basement of the NL East, and you're really getting excited over little baby-ass moves?
To be fair, this is the only time when bad teams can be optimistic about their team. These next 2 months are the only times that bad teams can be optimistic about their teams, because during spring training, it'll make it obvious that you're going to suck. But before then, you're like, hey, yeah, everything's looking good. But, yeah, after that, no, not so much.
Yeah, dude. I heard some guy on the radio, they was on the aforementioned Waddle and Sylvie, and this guy, they were they were kind of talking Cubs and White Sox, and then obviously with the Reds signing Nick Castellanos to a 4-year deal
for them, man.
Yeah, dude. So all the jokes that I've really been talking about the Reds, because I really wanted them to trade for that the Castillo kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen because the Reds are kind of like, okay, this is what I wanted to say about the Washington Redskins earlier. I think the reason why they're making these head-on moves is because they saw how bad the Eagles were, and they saw how bad the Cowboys were, and then they see that the Giants are like, the Giants are like, you might be good, you might not. All right, let me go ahead and put my foot on the gas here. Let's make some moves.
Yeah.
I feel that way with the Reds because they're like, okay, Pittsburgh's going to blow. Okay, they're probably going to suck.
Yeah.
The Cubs are kind of in lingo.
Yeah. But I still think because the Cubs haven't made their moves, and by the way, meaning they haven't traded away guys yet, and they've made a lot of sneaky, pretty decent moves here or there to get in cheap guys here or there. I don't think the division is quite yet ready to throw away the Cubs. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's why I think the Reds could have probably stayed put from where they were at early in the offseason. But then they signed Castellanos, they signed Pedro Strop, they signed a couple of other guys.
Mike Moustakas
is on that list, and a couple of other really good pitching moves as well. And next thing you know, they're like, okay, we know that the Cubs aren't bad yet, but we're right there with the Cubs now. And now all we have to do is take that next step to try and jump into Milwaukee and St. Louis territory, which, again, St. Louis came out of nowhere last year. Let's be honest, right? So they won the division and did it in a good fashion, but honestly, dude, it's hard to predict St. Louis sometimes. Sometimes you think, like, man, they're the favorite going into the season, and next thing you know, they're shit in the bed for 3 or 4 months to start the season. So Milwaukee, we talked about it, like, they're in, like, maybe trying to trade Hader. They've lost Grandal. They've lost Moustakas. They've lost this, lost that. So, and at the end of the day right now, Milwaukee's in limbo with Ryan Braun, and, they're going to do their best to make sure that Christian Yelich is comfortable there and going to be there for a long time. So, you're right, though. There's a clear disparity between, like, the Pirates and the rest of the division. But if you're the Cubs, if you're the Reds, and especially if you're Milwaukee and St. Louis, you feel like, okay, we're in this thing kind of.
Yep. That's what I'm thinking, too. So the Reds might be a team to kind of look out for. The Astros hired Dusty Baker as their new manager. And when I heard that, my first reaction is, this is how I know that the Yankees are going all the way to the show.
They went for the toothpick.
Right. What I did want to bring up was the guy was talking about the AL Central. And he made an offhand comment that he thinks that the Indians might actually, at the end of the year, might have the best rotation in baseball.
Oh.
And I looked at this guy, I was like...
Well, they traded Kluber, so what? They traded Kluber, they traded...
Trevor Bauer.
So what? They've got Carrasco. What's the other guy's name? Not Tomlinson. I'll look it up for us. Because I know they've got two really solid guys after that, but I don't know how you could come to that math.
I don't know how you come to that math either, because I know a rotation that's going to have Cole, Severino, the Big Maple, Tanaka, and I forgot to mention this a couple weeks ago, but Brian Cashman came out and said that they are not trading J Happ. It could have not been the best news I'm hearing, because I want to see what J Happ does with the new pitching coach, Matt Baker. If Matt Baker could get him on that analytical nonsense that baseball has come to, and now we can talk about maybe fixing J Happ, you're going to have 2 of the best righties in the game, or 3 of the best righties in the game, with James Paxton could possibly have himself another 19-game win season, and J Happ having himself a little turnaround for his season. I cannot wait for this baseball season to kick off. It cannot kick off any sooner.
Are you ready for these Cleveland Indian pitchers?
All right, cool.
Oh, man. Shane Bieber. I had him in fantasy last year. Consistent pitcher, but not an ace yet. 24, so he's still young. Shane Bieber will probably be their best pitcher. Carlos Carrasco, who's coming off of, I think, missing most of the year last year. And then Mike Clevenger, who... He used to be a long reliever. I don't even know if he's still. And then Oliver Perez and Adam Plutko, Jeffrey Rodriguez.
Oliver, as in the former left-handed.
38-year-old
Jesus.
left-handing long reliever Oliver Perez is also in there. I don't see even 3 really good pitchers there.
And the reason why that was brought up because Sylvie had asked, and I don't know why I can't
Probably
think
about
of
the
this.
White Sox being the best rotation at some point.
Well, what he wanted to ask was he wanted to ask, like, how good can the White Sox really be? And he said that the White Sox might actually end up being the third best team in the Central.
That's a popular
because
right now.
because he's saying that with Cleveland's rotation, and then with Minnesota's, they might score.
Yeah, they've got
5,000 runs this year.
They've got an offensive
that they think that the White Sox may not be able to hang up with those two.
They signed Josh Donaldson. Did the Twins? So get a power-handed right-handed third baseman.
But wasn't that Miguel Sano?
Yeah, and now Sano's going to probably be more of a left fielder and a DH, I would imagine. But that's why a lot of
they're really going to put Miguel Sano in left.
Yeah, well, Minnesota fans were a little bit upset by the move because they felt like it was a move so that Minnesota fans could be happy because they were sad that the White Sox were getting so much better while the Minnesota Twins were sort of sitting stagnant. And eventually, a lot of fans were basically saying this was a makeup move because they missed out on other guys. And a lot of people were mad about that. But at the end of the day, I mean, you find a way to make bats work, right?
True.
Like at the end of the day, if Sano has to play left field, you make him play left field or first base or whatever. Even Donaldson maybe getting in some DH work. But I mean, honestly, like, I've heard all of these. I heard somebody on 670 The Score, we have to sober up these White Sox fans. They've already thought they've won the division. I mean, at the end of the day, no, we haven't. But yeah, we're very excited about the team because we should be. It's a very exciting team to be to have at this stage in the season, or I guess in the off season rather. But also, I mean, Minnesota hasn't exactly won the offseason.
That's true.
Cleveland hasn't exactly won the offseason. And we just
more true.
We went through their pitching staff. They're not that impressive. Their offense is basically made up of Jose Ramirez and Francisco Lindor and Carlos Santana. That's basically all they've got on the offensive side of the ball because they're running Delino DeShields in center field, and Jordan Lupolo and Tyler Naquin and Franmil Reyes from San Diego. I'm not scared of these guys. At the end of the day, the White Sox on paper have legitimately one of the best lineups in all of baseball. You can put them up there with Houston and the Yankees, and you can put them up there with them, and you should be excited about that. Now, does that mean they've won their division? No one's saying that. I think everyone's willing to play out the season and see how things go. But if you're a White Sox fan, you 100% have to look at it on paper and say, yeah, we're in a very good position right now.
Chris says, and Detroit is doing a total teardown in the AL Central, so it'll be maybe 3 or 4 years before they're even relevant.
And nobody wants Miguel Cabrera. And nobody wants...
especially not with that contract.
No, and the problem is the guy can't really do anything anymore. Like, with Pujols, he was still hitting when he stopped being able to run.
And he could still play some formidable first base.
Yeah, and Miguel can't do either. He can't run. Every time he does run, he gets hurt. And honestly, he said it before. He doesn't want to play for a losing team. So they might have to just bite the bullet on that and just let him go and see what they can get, because he might be a candidate for somebody that may need a bat in the trade deadline this year.
Could agree with you on that one. Steven says the Mets have a better pitching staff than Cleveland. Yeah, I would really agree with that.
Mets have one of the best pitching staffs in all the NL. I mean, when you look at the top half of that rotation, and then specifically they'll look at the 3 through 5. Very strong, man. Like Steven Matz and Stroman, and they signed a couple of these veteran.
They got I almost said Rocco Woodell, my dumb ass. They got hold on, it's gonna hit me.
They got 2
Rick
guys.
Porcello, and Michael Walker.
Yep, and both of those guys are innings eaters. So, at the end of the day, man, the Mets. Dude, I think if you're a Mets fan, you got to be happy about the offseason. The only thing I would be a little bit upset about is that, they did that whole restructuring with Cespedes, and they're trying to make it so that they think that Cano is going to come back strong again, right? So you're hoping that if you can get Cano and Cespedes along with Alonso, and then you've got McNeil, and you got some of these other guys, Conforti in the outfield. But the real problem was, remember, they were having a lot of internal strife when it came to, remember DeGrom had that issue where he didn't want to throw to fucking what was the name of that catcher?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he didn't want to throw to a certain catcher, and they're like, no, the analytics show and this and that. And at the end of the day, the Mets shot themselves in the foot because remember they went on that 2 or 3 month tear last year and almost made the playoffs. They didn't make the playoffs, but almost did.
Yeah, you're right. And then there's a lot. As a matter of fact, now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, there was a lot of things that came out in baseball. I'm not sure if you saw this, but I guess the Red Sox offered Mookie Betts a 10-year, $300 million deal. He countered with a 12-year, somewhere like $380 to $400 million, and the Red Sox told him no.
And they're going to try and trade him now.
Now, let me say this, because I know when I was listening to The Fan a lot during the time where the Yankees signed Garrett Cole, there were Mets fans that were saying that they want Mookie Betts signed with the Mets to almost be as equivalent to what Garrett Cole is to the Yankees, because the Mets really need an outfielder, because Cespedes is actually a free agent after this year. So, and the guy that I'm thinking of, Joe Benigno, was saying that he thinks that Cespedes is going to have a career year because it's a contract year.
Yeah.
So
and they made him take a pay cut this year.
Exactly.
Too, yeah.
So you're going to bring in Cespedes that's going to want to get paid next year, and then you somehow entice Mookie Betts and pay him the money, because the Mets actually have a what you call it. They have an ownership change that's coming up here soon, because it was the Wilpons, but whoever had some stock in the Mets went ahead and bought the majority stock, so that they're in charge. So like the Wilpons only have like fully charged for like the next 5 years, but this dude's money is going to come into effect next year. So now the Mets will have more bread.
Don't they have a TV deal too? They're going to have a TV
deal
soon.
They're with SNY right now, but this guy, I guess, is some kind of like, I don't know. I don't want to say a stockbroker, but this man's worth billions of dollars.
So they could go into the luxury tax if they have to.
Oh, if he wanted to. Yeah. Hell yeah, dude.
People are talking about San Diego as well. People talking San Diego, that San Diego is basically telling Boston that they will take Price's contract and Mookie, but they won't be able to get back much.
Right.
Like making it sort of like that trade between the Yankees and the Marlins for Giancarlo. But at the end of the day, you know, that Giancarlo deal, you talked about it in previous shows. If the Marlins would have ate some of that deal, then they would have gotten more back for him.
Yep.
But because they decided to eat that, or to let the Yankees eat that deal, they didn't get anything back. So if the Red Sox rumors are true, which the rumors are, they're desperate to get out of the luxury tax.
Yeah.
That they just don't, the ownership group, because remember, they're owned by the same ownership group that owns the Liverpool team, which Liverpool is having the most epic Premier League season of all time. They might go undefeated in the Premier League this year. And right now things are going very successful, but the Red Sox are sort of a drain of income for them because of the luxury tax. So, So getting rid of a contract like David Price's might be it. But if San Diego gets Mookie Betts and basically only has to give up a couple of minor leaguers just because basically they can afford to eat David Price's contract, that's crazy to me, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Christopher Brown said it was $430 million for 12 years is what Betts had, quote-unquote, requested
from Boston. That's right on par with Bryce Harper, right? I mean, Bryce Harper went 10 for $300, right?
I think so.
So,
but Giancarlo, I know, was 12 for like $330 or $345.
And his got signed a while back. His is going to be worth more now.
Yeah.
Those 12-year deals, man, they got to be worth over $380 now. Like they've got to be worth like close to $400. So that's right on par. But at the same time, like it's not like the Red Sox don't think that he's worth that. They do think he's worth it. The problem is they're starting to see that they can't really keep the core of this team, and they've got another couple of young guys, Rafael Devers, Benintendi. They've got other guys that they're going to have to pay soon. Jackie Bradley. There's just a lot of decisions they're going to have to make.
Hey, what's his name, a free agent this year? Xander Bogaerts?
No, they locked him up. So he's one of the first guys.
He's
one of the first guys that locked up. lineup, which was very surprising because they prioritized him over Mookie, which was weird because I get it. Like, he's a shortstop. He's been there for longer. And Mookie, let's remember, he started off as a second baseman, and a lot of people didn't think he would be the type of power hitter that he was. He was supposed to be the scrappy contact guy who had good tools in the field. But next thing you know, he got up to the big league, started hitting dingers, and moved to the outfield. And now he's worth, I think he's going to be worth the $400 million. Just there's going to be somebody who'll pay him that for sure.
Right. Steven says, hold on a second. Steven says that's why we were able to sign Betances because of that new money that was coming in.
Is it T? I was going to say they've got to have some sort of source of income.
I mean, they have a source of income, but I'm talking about
that
because and his next comment was the coupons, because they be saying that the Wilpons be acting real cheap with their bread.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that's been clowning. That's why this guy came in and took majority stock of the Mets. Like, look, I'm sick of this team losing.
Yeah.
I'll just put my money in. I'll take majority stock. I'll take over the team. I'll put my bread in next year because they got to get it approved. So once they get it approved, which it sounds like it's already been approved, next year he can come in and lay down the hammer of Zeus any way that he sees fit.
And they're profitable too. Like, they make money. They make decent money, the Mets do. Like,
of course.
Like,
dude,
there
are some real diehard Mets fans out there.
For sure. Yeah, and especially, like, I didn't even know that, obviously, the Mets are a newer team to New York than the Yankees were, but after watching that baseball documentary and seeing how the Brooklyn Dodgers left and the New York Giants left, the Brooklyn Dodgers left to L.A., the New York Giants left to San Francisco. The Yankees were the only team left in town, and when they opened up the Mets, it was sort of this gimmicky thing that they didn't think anybody would want to be a Mets fan because they were so pissed about Brooklyn leaving and so pissed about the Giants leaving and so pissed that the Yankees were basically going to be the only outfit in town. And next thing you know, the Mets have a couple of seasons where they gained the respect of the fans. And remember, they had those lovable loser seasons where they sucked for so long. And it's kind of crazy how that happens. They happened to the Cubs too for 10 years. The Cubs were so bad, but yet the fans seem to come back with even more passion every single year, despite the team being so bad, and things worked out okay for them. And same thing with the Mets. I mean, obviously they've been to a couple of series since then, but they just haven't been able to execute on them.
Right. Christopher Brown says, and there was some brief talk of Benintendi going to the Cubs. And Steven asked, will Mookie end up going to the Dodgers? That was actually the hot rumor.
Yeah.
Was Mookie going to L.A.? But what are you really going to get from him? Like, think about it like this, and I'll bring this up right now because Christopher mentioned the Cubs. Chris Bryant lost his grievance.
Yeah.
So now he can't be
He
can't be a free agent for 2 years, which he was hoping he could be a free agent next year. And then we're still talking about what's going to happen with Nolan Arenado, because I had made mention. Okay, so one of my friends, his name is Brandon. He's a diehard White Sox fan, and he was saying that if the White Sox didn't have, I'm assuming Yoan Moncada is playing third for you guys this year. If you guys didn't have Yoan Moncada playing third, he would have been all in for the White Sox to go out and get a Nolan Arenado.
Yeah.
But I had said that I wouldn't mind him in New York. The problem is the Yankees farm system's got some studs in that bad boy. We got this kid, Jason Dominguez, who's a 16-year-old switch hitter, outfielder, phenom for the Yankees, who's pretty much Aaron Hicks is pretty much warming up the seat for this kid. And when the Yankees are ready to call him up in 3 or 4 years, watch the F out. The Yankees scored a deal on this kid. Plus, you also have Duar still, and then you still got some pitching guys still, and the Yankees actually have a couple of good catching prospects. You're not going to gut to that farm system to bring in a Nolan Arenado, especially, and I was thinking about this when I was in the car listening. The thing is, like you said about the Giancarlo deal, the more I got to eat this contract, the less better the prospects is going to be. You're not going to get the better of both ends.
No.
I'm not going to give you top-tier prospects, and you think you ain't finna eat none of this contract.
Right.
That's total BS. And that's where I think the hookup is with St. Louis and Colorado, because I heard word on the street was that St. Louis and Colorado almost damn near had a handshake deal to send Nolan Arenado to St. Louis. But then I also heard that Nolan Arenado doesn't want to play in St. Louis.
Yeah.
And everyone's talking, where did you hear that? Trust me, I heard on the radio 4 times that Nolan Arenado has no desire to play in St. Louis.
They said that was one of the reasons why the Colorado basically said they wanted to trade him somewhere he wanted to go. And then we heard that they were super close on the deal to St. Louis. And then remember, he came out and commented and said something stupid like, yeah, I don't want to be in Colorado anyways, or something like that. And then backtracked on his comments later and said, sorry, I never meant that. I was just frustrated by being in the rumors. But yeah, I think, we say it all the time, where there's smoke, there's fire. When they're telling you we're going to trade him to a place he wants to go, and you see that they're so close to trading him to St. Louis, and then it doesn't happen. And right now, apparently, the deal's off. Like, they're just going to...
Yeah, they're not even talking.
No, they're going to reevaluate and see what they want to do. But at the end of the day, and that Chris Bryant thing is real big, man, because a lot of people were looking at the White Sox crazy when they signed Eloy Jimenez to that deal last year. They weren't looking as crazy this year with Luis Robert, because people were already talking about Robert being this phenom kid. But people were giving the White Sox grief about that and saying, well, they're trying to get on the good side of the player, but they just screwed themselves because they could have paid little to no money for him. It's you can't win. At the end of the day, dude, if you're a team, you can't win. Either you're spending, if you spend money, all you want
trying to win a champ, trying to buy a
championship. But if you do it organically and try and bring in prospects, you just tore apart your whole thing.
Why can't we spend any money?
It's a never-ending cycle of nothing's ever good enough. And at the end of the day, the White Sox, that whole Arenado thing with the White Sox, does Arenado bring you closer to a World Series? No. He makes you a very good lineup, and maybe you move Yoan Moncada back to second and you make them the best lineup in the league, but he's not going to bring us closer to a World Series, similar to what the Yankees. Like, are the Yankees one Nolan Arenado away from the World Series? No. They're already that close. Does he bring them a little closer? Sure. But is he a deal breaker for them? I don't think so.
Here's where I think a lot of teams are going to use leverage on Colorado. Mm-hmm. The longer you wait,
the less you get back. Yeah.
The less you're going to have to give up to get back. Because there's going to be a team out there that's going to say, we need that Nolan Arenado. Mm-hmm. And we'll eat the majority of his contract. Mm-hmm. And we'll take him off your hands. Mm-hmm. Because, I just beat the dead horse, but, that's what happened. The Yankees told Derek Jeter, look, we'll take him off your hands and we'll pay. Mm-hmm. But you ain't going to get the deal you think you finna get. Because people were so pissed off because all the Yankees really gave up was like 2 B-level prospects and Starlin Castro. Yeah, but we had to take on the remainder 11 years, $340 million that this man is owed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, of course, you're not going to get 2 AAA soon-to-be-ready prospects and Starlin Castro if I got to eat $340 million.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of MLB The Show nonsense is this?
That's
basically all it is. And that's where I think a lot of teams aren't so much in a rush to go out and get Nolan Arenado right now.
Yeah.
Because they're like, well, their asking price is too high. But it's going to come a time where, let's say, if Colorado's sitting there at 4th in the West, and you get all these teams that are coming out and they're winning, they're saying, oh, we need a Nolan Arenado. Man, advantage to whoever it is, because maybe the Rockies get desperate and they're like, damn, well, we're not going to win with them. Yeah. We need to blow this up. We need to figure this out.
The Rockies are weird because they were winning. Remember, they were like in the wild card or in the playoffs for like 5 out of 6 years. It was crazy. Like Bud Black was doing it for them, and then there was like this sort of lull where they obviously have had some disappointing seasons that ended in the playoffs. But when they signed Nolan to that deal, I don't think they ever imagined that they would be so out of contention that they would be forced to trade him. 3 years later after him signing it.
Right.
So at the end of the day, the league has changed tremendously since even 5 years ago. Whereas 5 years ago, it was about get every single second of service time you can get out of them, and pay them absolutely as little as possible, and then pay them when you have to pay them.
Right.
And there's a couple teams that buck that trend, the White Sox being one of them. They could have played that game with Eloy Jimenez last year. They knew he was going to be in the big leagues. They knew they wanted him to break out in the big leagues. So They said, well, we want this guy up here. Why play with service times? Because they're gonna have this. They were gonna have the same thing with Luis Robert this year too, where they were gonna we're gonna have to sacrifice him being in the minors for 3 weeks to start the season for this petty bullshit when we're probably gonna end up paying him anyways. So this was I'm sure Chris Bryant was very vindicated, was very happy walking out of or hearing the news, I guess, about the arbitration going his way, and the Cubs got to feel a little bit stupid. Because they ruined remember, this kid was the NL MVP. Like, this isn't just like a prospect who just so happened to break out. Remember, when the Cubs drafted him, they were shit. I remember when the Cubs drafted Chris Bryant. They sucked. They were terrible. And when they selected him, they knew this kid was going to be really good. Now, he rose his way through the minors and was killing it in the minors, by the way, similar to the way Eloy Jimenez was, and the Cubs just kept playing games with the service time. And the thought process was always, we'll deal with that in 5 years when we have to. And look how it's going to happen now.
Yep.
Now they're forced to basically start negotiating an extension with him, or he's going to walk next year.
And he's going to walk.
He's walking. Yeah.
Because they didn't already offered him an extension. Yeah.
Right.
Somebody, one of my buddies who's a Cubs fan was telling me, we should just trade Chris Bryant for Nolan Arenado. That's not happening.
That makes sense, yeah.
That's not happening.
And at the same time, it's like, okay, if you were going to pay that money, why don't you just pay your guy? Pay the guy that's been there and that won a World Series with you.
Right.
Like, it doesn't, any other scenario other than the Cubs trading Chris Bryant for a package of really good minor leaguers or, major league ready young guys is a failure.
Yep.
Because he won the NL MVP not too long ago. So you have to start to, if you're the Cubs right now, it's a confusing offseason. You still think that you can do some things, but yet the whole offseason you're trying to figure out how to unload your best players. And now John Lester is going to come back, and he's another year older and probably another year worse. Yu Darvish is coming back and another year older and another year worse. Jose Quintana is going to be he's going to have a career season, I think, for them because he's on a contract year and he's been on team-friendly deals his whole career, even since the White Sox. So This guy's going to try and get paid. I would, if you're a fantasy baseball player, I would try and sneak in Jose Quintana this year. But yeah, other than really the obvious, which is that Wilson Contreras and Chris Bryant need to be traded ASAP. The Cubs right now seem to have thrown their hands up and given up and said, okay, this is what we are. This is our situation. Let's just play the cards that we were dealt. And as of right now, I can't be super mad at the Cubs for their offseason. What I will say is this. If they can trade Chris Bryant away and get a package of, let's say, 3 really good minor leaguers and really replenish the farm system, I think that's a success for them, and they should just be happy that this offseason didn't go any worse.
There's 2 comments that I really want to bring up, and this, and you know how we kind of been good on, like, we didn't do it last week, but we've been making like clips on the show.
Yeah.
This might be clip worthy.
Okay.
Christopher Brown earlier said that a sleeper team to pick up Arenado is possibly the Atlanta Braves.
Ooh, okay.
Steven turned around and said that the sleeper is the Mets. And Christopher said that he thinks that Atlanta has a deeper system than the Mets. Let me tell you why I agree with Christopher that Atlanta has a deeper farm system than the Mets. Mm-hmm. But if the Mets somehow would go out there with the new money coming in, it is going to bring a buzz in New York for baseball, period, since both teams faced each other in the Subway Series in 2000. The problem that I've had with the Mets is that, like you said, the rotation is awesome. Yeah. DeGrom, Syndergaard, whenever he decides to want to show up, the man's freaking amazing. Steven Matz is freaking amazing. when he wants to show up. Marcus Stroman now will have 1 full year in New York in the National League, so he can get used to it. Mm-hmm. And if they catch lightning in the bottle, which I'm assuming is going to be Rick Porcello, who, oh, by the way, is a former Cy Young winner himself. Mm-hmm. If they catch lightning in the bottle, I keep going back to the Yankees and using their rotation as the best beat, but that shows you the importance of how good Garrett Cole and that signing was to the Yankees, and how important that news was that J. Happ will be the 5th starter and that they have no intentions of trading him, and how good that system's going to be. So the Mets system, starting rotation, I think is anywhere from really flipping good to great. Yeah. The Yankees starting rotation is somewhere from really flipping good to great.
Yeah.
If the Mets went out and traded, because think about it, Pete Alonso, I wouldn't say screwed over, but for as great as the season that he had, it just made Dominic Smith expendable.
Yeah.
And then if they can somehow package a deal to bring in Arenado, and then you're going to use further money to go out and sign Mookie Betts, it will bring the hatred between the Yankees and Mets at a head where you're going to need martial law to separate the two. And that's what I want. I want the New York Mets. Look, it is not fun beating the same team over and over and over again. You got to make the stuff meaningful at some point.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, okay, yeah, I love talking smack about beating the New York Mets. I give you a prime example. It's like when if the Yankees for so many years would just beat the absolute daylights out of the Red Sox. As much as I hate the Red Sox, if the Yankees beat a competitive Red Sox team, of course I'm going to talk smack, because I want to beat you when you're at your best.
Yeah.
If the Yankees beat the Mets, like, all the Subway Series stuff is cool. But if I whoop your ass again in the World Series like we did in 2000, I'd rather talk more smack about that then, because we were playing for the richest prize in baseball. Yeah. Not just for some Rudy Poo Subway Series, or like here in Chicago, some Rudy Poo Crosstown Cup that's sponsored by BP. Nobody cares, because it's useless, because you only play 4 games. So if you split, where's the cup going?
It's some technicality where they've split like 3 out of the last 5 years, and it's like, well, whoever has the most robed wins, I guess we'll give. It's stupid.
It's stupid, right? Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
If you're gonna do it right. Like, make it a full 7-game series or something like that.
Or I don't know. Here's crazy. Why don't you just go back to playing 6 games you were doing?
Yeah, it's crazy. The schedule changes were weird.
Let me tell you this. Let me tell you another thing that I wish baseball would get back to doing. What is this, 19? I want to say it was either 16 or 17. I remember when the Yankees played the Mets in June, they didn't play back in New York. They played, that's an oxymoron. The Yankees played the Mets at Yankee Stadium in like May or June. They didn't play in Citi Field until September. You want to know why that was more awesome than it was? There was such a buzz because the Yankees were on roll of trying to clinch this wild card spot. The Mets wanted to be that team to make sure that the Yankees wouldn't go. So you got that Subway Series in September, and it actually meant something for somebody. So you want the Yankees to make it there, and then you wanted the Mets to be the killer. And the Mets fans can brag to the Yankees fan, we're the reason why your dumbasses didn't go. That's what New York needs. Yeah. So if I'm actually rooting for the New York Mets to go out and actually flipping go get Arenado and go get Mookie Betts, so that there could be some real smack talk, so you guys can be like, well, we got McNeil, and we got Alonso, and we got Mookie, and we got Arenado, and the Yankee fans come around and say, well, screw you, because we got Judge and Giancarlo and Gary Sanchez, stop being so goddamn lazy behind the plate, and we got Juriel Urshela, who's out here bombing 40 home run seasons, and we fight about who's got the best rotation in baseball, and then somehow the Mets figure out their bullpen woes, and we already know the Yankees bullpen is great. That is what's best for baseball. The rivalries nowadays suck because St. Louis and the Chicago Cubs, as far as I'm concerned, ain't a rivalry to me because every time the two teams meet, either the Cardinals are up here and the Cubs are down here, or the Cubs are up here and the Cardinals are down here, or both teams just blow dick all day.
And the
it's
league,
gone.
The league with the new scheduling has made it harder for fans to latch onto those rivalries because you're not playing enough games to make it worth it sometimes when it's an AL NL one, and when it's in the same league as you're sort of inundated with this, oh, we're going to play them 16 times this year or whatever it may be. So dude, I think the MLB has got to shake something up when it comes to schedule. I think that's one perfect example. I think we should open it up a little bit more for interleague play and allow for a little bit more of an even schedule, specifically for teams like the Cubs and the White Sox and the Yankees and the Mets and Dodgers and whoever else is in LA. So I think eventually that's how you get those rivalries to get back up again. But you're right. Having two amazing teams in the city has a different buzz to it. Like if the White Sox were super good this year, which we're hoping they are, and the Cubs were bad, it would almost feel a little bit different. If the Cubs were good and the White Sox were good, and then we met in June, oh man, those are really good games, and those are really competitive and fun to watch and attend games. But otherwise, again, I like the way you put it with the Mets or with the Cubs and the Cardinals, because that's how it was with the White Sox and the Cubs a lot of times. It was like the Sox were like way up here because they had the off season and the Cubs were way down here. They were still rebuilding, and then boom, that switches, and the Cubs were one of the best teams in the league, and the White Sox were one of the worst teams in the league. And then next thing you know, you're only playing each other like 6 times, and by the time you know it, you look up and the series is done, and somebody's holding up some corny trophy because they split the series, and I don't understand.
That's right, Southside. We got the Cross-Down Cup.
And they're changing the cup this year, by the way. They're doing a huge vote. They want to decide what the new cup is going to look like, and what I will say is, okay, change the schedule so we play a real series, and then we'll talk about the cup.
Yeah, dude, that's what I'm saying, man. We got to get some of these rivalries back, because here's what I'm thinking as far as the AL East is concerned. Our buddy Tommy O'Connor hit me up, or I actually was reading his status the other day. Dude, the Red Sox don't even have a manager right now.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
They still don't have anybody to manage that team with the whole Alex Cora fallout.
Yeah.
Dude, if the Baltimore Orioles didn't suck so bad, I wouldn't be shocked if the Boston Red Sox found themselves rotting in the bottom of the AL East.
What are you thinking now for the rest? I mean, Eduardo Perez, like who's left now? I mean, Buck Showalter.
There were some rumblings about Jason Varitek.
That's right.
Do that?
Yeah.
I don't know how. I mean, I don't feel like Boston is really like that analytical, transitioner like. Obviously the Phillies, when they hired Joe Girardi, threw all that crap out the window. They just wanted the wins. Yep. You get a guy like Luis Rojas. I don't know if Luis Rojas, I think with the Mets only made sense because it stuck with the Hispanic theme. Yeah, right. So that's why you brought in Carlos in the first place. But that's why Luis Rojas and Eduardo Perez were the two guys that their names brought up the most, because the Mets want to keep that Hispanic, the Spanish, what's the word I'm looking for, the connection there.
Sure.
So that's why Rojas gets the job. I don't feel Boston is really on that tier, because they don't really have a lot of Hispanic players on their team. I mean, their best Hispanic player is probably the young kid Rafael Devers. Yeah. But I mean, outside of that, you got Mookie Betts. I mean, Xander Bogaerts, I think, speaks Spanish. Yeah. I mean, but
Chris Sale, he's like
there's Chris Sale, David Price.
There was a big hoobra or whatever you want to call it about people speaking too much Spanish in the White Sox dugout, and that's why Chris Sale and Adam Eaton and everyone was talking bullshit about that. So and there's a certain it seems like now front offices are surrendering to the fact that players want to have a manager who's played before.
Yep.
Not a guy who's played in the fucking 50s or in the 60s or 70s. We want a guy who's from our generation or close to our generation that we've watched in the past. Because at the end of the day, dude, managing used to be about who has the most experience and savvy, and okay, they've been through the ringer, and now it's more so about like, do you know how to win baseball games in this day and age?
Right.
And it's become less about experience, and we've seen it now, even the last couple of years with the type of managers that have won ball games for their teams were relatively or World Series were relatively unknown, other than the Joe Madden thing, the Houston thing, and even when it comes down to it, like some of the best teams in the league right now have managers who were kind of never really managers, and they just kind of jumped into the role.
Right.
Aaron Boone is a perfect example of that. And hit the ground running, and is not just a guy who gets by on his baseball IQ, a very good manager, understands how to handle a pitching staff, how to handle the lineup day in and day out, how to structure a team with a 162-game season. These are very important things. I mean, again, Aaron Boone deserves a ton of credit for the way that he managed this team last year for 2 months, when the first 2 months of the season, every single fucking game that you looked up and somebody was getting injured and somebody was going on the DL, and this guy's out for 2 months, and this guy's out for 2 weeks, and this guy's sore here, and this guy's hurt there. And all Aaron Boone did was just bring up these random guys and move pieces around here and there and keep them in contention. Not only keep them in contention, but make them one of the better teams in the league, even when they were bad, or when the injuries were bad. So at the end of the day, dude, that's why people who were talking about Rick Renteria, like, we could have went and got out and gotten Joe Madden. First of all, Joe Madden was never going to stay in Chicago. He was going to go to greener pastures in California either way. But at the end of the day, dude, who cares? Like, Dave Roberts is doing just fine, and some of these other guys that you didn't think were the best man, you don't have to have Joe Torre anymore.
Right. Exactly. That's why I'm saying Philadelphia's like, screw that analytic nonsense. We'll take Joe Girardi, who, by the way, won a World Series.
Yeah. And good for him, too, because remember, he sat out a couple of years because he's like, nah, I'm going to take the right job. And, he apparently got the right job.
Philadelphia, right. So, in all honesty, I feel like a lot of these baseball, and we'll get much deeper into it probably here in the next couple of weeks, because we'll blink, it'll be March, and we'll blink, and pitchers and catchers will be reporting, and if we blink again, it'll be spring training. And I just really feel like if I'm like off the top of my head, really looking at maybe what divisions could really be a dogfight, I really think the National League East might be on top of that role, because you can't sleep on Washington. They're the defending champs.
No.
You can't sleep on the Mets, because if they figure they hit to match with that pitching staff, they could be dangerous. You can't sleep on Atlanta, because, they're the defending champs and they have a young team and a young squad. Yeah. And then you can't sleep on Philadelphia with what they're doing, and they've made some moves too.
And I had somebody say, I would say the Philadelphia will be the surprise team of next year. Surprise to who? They spent like $500 million the last 2 years. Like, they better be fucking good this year. Like, the Zach Wheeler deal, a lot of people were sort of saying, wow, this was a bad deal. But at the end of the day, they got themselves a very good pitcher for market value, which, again, I like the comparison you made, the Patrick Corbin comparison. Right. It was very similar. It came out of left field. People weren't expecting Patrick Corbin to get that type of deal. And next thing you know, Patrick Corbin has the type of season he has. And you're like, okay, this makes sense. Wheeler was in the same ballpark, and I was very disappointed the White Sox couldn't nail the deal down with Wheeler. And again, it all came down to his wife having family over on the East Coast. But yeah, Philadelphia right now has no excuses left. They've got one of the biggest payrolls in baseball, one of the best teams in baseball, and now a legitimate manager. It's time for the excuses to go away.
I'm with you 100% on that. So yeah, I think the National League East is dogfight. John, I'll get to your comment here in a second. John Steven says, you mean the higher-ups told Boone where to put them. Man, get your goofy ass up out of here.
What did he say?
Talking about the higher-ups told Boone where to put them. Like, he's saying that Boone's not managing Cashman and Levine and the hot Steinbrenner.
If you think Cashman or Steinbrenner or anyone in that front office has more baseball knowledge and IQ than Aaron Boone, you're crazy, dude.
Nah, he's just trying to joke on the Yankees. That's all it is. He's a Mets fan.
Oh, he's a Mets fan. Okay,
so
I'll give it to you.
Here I am trying to give the Mets some kind of credit to freaking be relevant.
That's what
for
you
once
get.
in their
you
life.
Give them an inch, they take a mile.
Took the whole mile. Damn. John says the Lakers' tribute to Kobe last night was terrific. It was terrific. Yeah. It was. And, we talked about it at the beginning of the show, and I guess, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was thinking about this in the back of my head is how does Kobe's death now kind of affect the NBA? Because I don't know if you saw this, but the salary cap now is actually going to dip.
Yeah, it's going to decrease by a couple
$3 or $4 million after the whole Hong Kong, China, Chinese.
Which the NBA is coming out with damage control and saying that they're going to recover that and that will even out and that won't affect. But at the end of the day, we're seeing an effect in it already because they've already basically shaved off, I think, something like $4 million or something like that.
They shaved off $4 million. They said that their revenue is down. They're saying that the viewership is down. I mean, it's the... Like, here's the thing. My problem, okay, I think with the NBA, I'm always going to watch the NBA.
Yeah.
You know, everyone knows that the New York Knicks will always be my first loves when it comes to sports. And I always will love to watch it. I just think that my problem is with basketball is... I just think that it's I don't want to say it's too watered down. I'm just saying that there's teams that have guys that should be playing in the NBA.
Yeah.
Like, let me tell you like this. If the Knicks were playing the Charlotte Hornets right now while we're doing the show, I'm not breaking my back to figure out how that game's going to go.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Because there's no one on the Charlotte Hornets that I'm excited to see.
Now, let me ask you a question. Do you think that's why the NBA is... You know, I think the NBA recognizes that same it's almost an undetectable and unnameable thing. There's this very big elephant in the room that you can't quite diagnose, that the league is a little bit wrong right now. Do you think that's the reason why they're trying to put forward some of these gimmicky things like the in-season tournament and some of these other things?
I think so.
Because at the end of the day right now, we've talked about how those are gimmicky things, but now on the flip side of that, would that make us change the way we feel about basketball? Because I agree, basketball is a little watered down. It used to be that I didn't care if it was January. I was watching that Thursday night basketball matchup every single Thursday night. I was watching the 7 o'clock game and I'm watching the late game in the West, and it was a really awesome experience. And you know, no matter who the teams were, you got to watch the game, and it was cool. And now that's sort of gone away, and basically even with the love of your own team, you can't really keep up with this league. So, you know, maybe we were wrong to judge the whole, trying the in-season tournament, because maybe it is time to do something. Maybe they do have to do something, because right now I agree with you. You know, I've sort of checked out of all of the basketball other than the Bulls right now. And I'm sort of waiting for sort of the March or April to run around, because once March hits, March Madness comes, and then you're a little bit more into basketball, a little bit more, you know, there's less sports going on in general, and hockey is sort of coming to its own close in the coming months. So yeah, and we're watching the Blackhawks and Coyotes play here as we're about to witness a goal by somebody here. It was, oh man. Yeah, they're playing the Coyotes in Arizona, and there it is. It's Brandon Saad. Wow.
It's number 2.
Number 2 for Sauter. It's 2-0 in Arizona, playing the Arizona Blackhawks, as they've got like Jalmerson and Strome and all these other guys that the Blackhawks traded them. So, yeah, 2-0 there, guys. Yeah, so basketball, I agree with you, does have to have a little bit of a more defining moment right now, and we'll see what that is. Hopefully, they made changes to the All-Star game. Did you hear? They're going to change the format of the All-Star game now. So the first 3 quarters are going to be individual games.
Right.
So every quarter for the first 3 quarters are going to be individual games. And I believe the 4th quarter, they're going to change it for good moving forward. But this year it's going to be a tribute to Kobe and Gianna. And they're going to have something along the lines of like whoever was leading in the combined score of the first 3 quarters would base plus their score plus 24 is what you would have to go to. It's a little confusing on paper, but we'll see how it's executed, because let's be honest, you know, a lot of people are making a big brouhaha about the dunk contest, and they were hoping that Zach LaVine made the All-Star game because then we would get a rematch of him versus Aaron Gordon, and now that's not looking like it's going to happen. It's still looking like a really good dunk contest, but not looking like Zach LaVine's going to make it because didn't make the All-Star team, which you know, at the end of the day, I can't be mad at voters for not voting in Zach LaVine. Let's just be honest. Guys like Bradley Beal, guys like maybe even Devin Booker in the West who got snubbed, those guys should be mad because they've had really good seasons. But a guy like Zach, it's really hard for me to be really mad that he didn't make the All-Star game. He's had some sort of boner moments where you're like, okay, this guy maybe isn't ready for the spotlight yet. And I'll be honest with you, I don't see him as a number one at all. I see him as a very good number two. Mm-hmm. And the problem is the Bulls are treating him like a one right now. And the Bulls, they shat away a couple games this week alone. They had a game in with the Pacers in Indiana where they basically are leading by 10 with 3 minutes left. We steal the ball with about 2:40 something left. We steal the ball. Perfect. Any coach is thinking, oh, my God, with 2:40 left, we're up by something like 6. Let's just let them run out some clock and gain the momentum. What does our coach do? He calls a timeout. What happens after we call the timeout? What happens after we call the timeout, Nick? Well, here's what happens, Nick. We don't score another bucket for the rest of the game. The game goes to overtime, and the Pacers win it in overtime in a poetic fashion, and that just shows how bad the Bulls can be when they want to.
All right, Jimbo, Nick Russell here from the Chicago Gazette. What were you thinking about calling a timeout there? And, what did you see out there?
Well, I really liked our team effort. And, we tried, but
scrappy.
We're scrappy. And, we gave it the team effort we needed, but we just came up a little short.
You know what that's almost as bonehead ass? Was when Nick Nurse's stupid ass called that timeout in
game two. Yeah.
Oh,
one of the
I
worst
have never
ever.
ripped the coach
One of the worst
so
ever.
hard in the finals that I've seen that.
Yeah.
Dude, Kawhi Leonard was single-handedly tearing the Warriors apart
and you almost
with
ruined
no
the series.
Clay and no Steph on the court, and you called a timeout for what?
Yeah, to give them and Jim Boylan. That just goes to show how delusional he is, that a junior high school coach, you show him that scenario.
Yeah.
Hey, dude, you're up by 6. You have no business being up right now. There's 2:40 left in the game. Your team just got a steal, by the way. What are you going to do? You going to let him run a play, obviously? No, we're going to call a timeout.
Timeout.
But why,
we
Jim?
need to set something up here.
Well, why? And then what he set up, and the worst part is, what he set up was an out-of-bounds 3. So an out-of-bounds pass into a person who shot a 3. Like, this is what I'm talking about. And at this point, the Bears can't fire the guy because what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Right.
You're just going to hire another fucking dud for a half a season? Let this guy have the season and let's see what he can do. But at the end of the day, the Bulls are somehow in the playoff race too. Like they have enough talent on this team that they can win every now and then, but they're not good enough to actually be a good team, but also not bad enough to be out of contention in the East, but also not good enough to be, it's just, you're in basketball hell if you're a Bulls fan right now, because you're watching this team, they're doing well in some spurts, and they just look like a completely a G League team in other spurts, and we're so ravaged with injuries right now that I'm ready for this season.
Right, no Wendell Carter, no Otto Porter Jr.,
no Markkanen for the next 6 weeks.
No Lauri Markkanen.
Yeah, very, very Felicio? Cristiano Felicio is playing starters minutes right now for the Bulls.
Yeah, that's how you know your team
is averaging double figure. This just leads me to believe that if I were 6'10", I would lead the league, or I would lead the Bulls in rebounds just like Felicio was, because Felicio, in that Pacers game, that same game we gave up, it's late in the game. You're Zach LaVine. You're having a bad night shooting the ball, but you know what? You're a number one. You've got to prove you're a number one, Zach LaVine. All right, what are we going to do? All right, we're going to run a play where Felicio's going to set a pick, and then he's going to roll, and we're going to choose what's going to happen. If they come to Zach, then he's going to give it to Felicio, and if they go to Felicio, then Zach's going to take the shot. What happens? Oh, they go on to Zach, and what happens? Perfectly laid out pass to Felicio, and what happens? Felicio can't catch the ball, out of bounds, Pacers ball.
What did I say last week?
He's terrible. He's terrible.
What?
And by the way, just to give everyone here, let's make everyone here depressed, because seems that depression is sort of just going around one of the these days. Let's just give everyone more of a reason to be depressed. Cristiano Felicio is making $12 million this year. $12 million are gonna go to Cristiano Felicio's bank account this year for basketball playing. That I just want everyone to understand.
What does Cristiano Felicio play center?
He plays center.
Okay, so he's gonna go. I'm writing right now our famous 5
all worst team.
All right, so Cristiano Felicio, then Marquise,
Chris,
lame ass Chris.
Yeah. Definitely throw Dellavedova in there.
Chris. Oh yeah, no, I haven't made it up there quite yet. I think Chris has 2 S's. Matthew Dellavedova is our starting point guard because he's such a POS.
Can we throw Tony Snell in there, please? Can we throw Tony Snell? Because somehow Tony Snell, since he came in the league, first of all, the Bulls drafted him, and for some reason he was playing with the Bulls and he was getting more minutes than Jimmy Butler was.
Right.
Next thing you know, he gets traded 2 or 3 different times and is still playing. He's still playing with the Bucks. He's still getting minutes and he sucks. So, Tony Snell, there's so many examples of this, of guys who just don't, my favorite in the whole league was Zaza Pachulia for the years that he was in there because all he did was just hurt people.
Yeah.
Like, that's all he did.
No skill set whatsoever.
Skills, even when he
all
was
right, so we'll put him on the bench.
He's our 6th man for sure.
All right, so 6th man, Zaza Pachulia.
And if we're going that far back, I've got plenty more options for us, but I want to try and keep it as current as possible.
We can put him on the bench if we need to.
Yeah, put him on the bench. Because,
who else?
My sort of shining great is John Lucas III. Do you remember John Lucas III?
Did he go to like A&M or Oklahoma State or something like that?
So he went to Oklahoma State. His dad was a famous coach, John Lucas
for
Sr.
the San Antonio Spurs.
Exactly. And he comes onto the Bulls, and that was the year Nate Robinson and everyone was doing really well. And then D-Rose got hurt, and Nate Robinson got hurt, and John Lucas III was playing starting minutes. He was playing starting minutes on the Chicago Bulls. Had no business being in the league. And by the way, he became a coach like 2 years after that thing. He just was like, I don't even know how I was in the league 2 years ago. So please put.
So are we putting Tony Snell in the shooting guard?
Dude, I would put him shooting guard or 3 guard because I don't think there's a worse guy because there's not one thing he does well. He's a guy who is supposed to shoot the 3 well, but he doesn't shoot the 3 well.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because my pastor's a diehard Bulls fan. He tried to sell me onto he's like brother.
He could shoot. He could
shoot, man. He's a great shooter. Getting time. I've been seeing him throw up bricks all day while he's up there in Minnesota. Milwaukee.
He was in New Mexico. He was at New Mexico, and everyone was making it seem like he was at UConn when he was at New Mexico. No, but dude, you don't.
All right, we'll put him at the starting.
You don't even know the culture for New Mexico, dude. Those freaking what is their mascot? The freaking New Mexico. Fuck, what is it? No, not Aggies.
They're the Lobos.
Lobos, yeah.
I
remember. I used to do traveling for basketball teams, and in their stadium, no joke, it's called the Pit. Their stadium, I'm not even joking. It's their fan section is vertical. It's like this, and then the court's right here. It's nuts. Like you can't even get up there. So I love New Mexico.
Steven says it's a totally different game now than it was back in the day. Back in the day, you go up the middle, you get nailed. Players won't go down the middle now.
Is he talking about basketball?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said now you go down the middle, no player is touched. I mean, there's some truth to that. I mean,
they are shitty fouls too.
Yeah, dude, there's a lot of crap fouls out there nowadays. Guys getting clothesline, all that nonsense. Yeah. I'm pretty sure if I go down the middle and I see like a 6'10" Andre Drummond, I'm really not trying to take no elbows from an Andre Drummond.
And honestly, dude, the problem is every time there's a hard foul now, people are acting like the dude got murdered. Like, remember when Bobby Portis did it to who did he just hit in the back of the head? And they were pretending like he shot him with a sniper. Like, dude, all he did, it was a hard foul. Like, you can't just have a hard foul. Like, remember back in the day, people were saying dudes in the 2000s were soft, but you could hack somebody really hard and everybody moves on with their business. That's a hard foul.
As soon as a guy gets popped upside the head, we got to go to the meter. This might be a flagrant one.
This might be a flagrant one. And next thing you know, everyone's holding guys back, and you got the team when Portis did it, the whole Knicks was kind of like, I forgot who it was. Like Alfred Payton was like talking to him, like, yeah, you can't be doing that. Like, dude, it's a hard foul. Like at the end of the day, man, like that's what you're taught to do. Like guys like Bobby Portis were probably taught in college, like, dude, if you're about to give up a score, you better foul his ass.
That's right.
And that's what he did, man.
Because if he gets an and one, you about to and one your ass straight to the bench.
You about to do suicides after the game. That's what's about to happen. So at the end of the day, dude, we can't complain about the league being soft, but also support these soft ass calls and these soft ass changes. Like, dude, I at the end of the day, basketball was much more physical, obviously, when it was started and it became popular. Obviously, much more physical in the 80s and then early 90s. But once the hand check rule went away, and then over the last 10 years, they sort of just given up on calling some things. Traveling, or is sort of, they call it when they want to. You used to be able to at least keep an elbow on somebody in the post. Now, if you have more than one hand on somebody in the post, it's an automatic foul. Like, you can't play a physical game anymore.
John says Granville Waiters. Not sure who that is. That must be from way back in the day.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I might have someone for the 3.
Okay, throw us.
How about Utah forward Joe Ingles?
Oh, come on. Leave my boy Joe out of this.
Joe Ingles is trash.
He gives average guys a little bit of hope that maybe they can make it to the legal.
Shit. That's what I'm saying. Dude, Joe Ingles, okay. I remember I was watching the game. It had to be Utah had to be like OKC or something.
Yeah.
And this man, Joe Ingles is just wide open at least 4 times. That ball wasn't close to getting switched.
And that shot's ugly too. It's like
it's like a way back, and then it's like I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, no. I don't want to say
we'll put him down as an honorable mention.
Let's add him as an honorable mention, because my problem with that is I'm going after people who have the same sort of look like they're an average Joe but also suck at basketball. Like, I think Joe Ingles gets by on his basketball IQ and this and this and that, right? But let's think even in terms of right now, veteran guys who have been in the league for a long time but suck. And there's always examples of guys being 7 feet tall and somehow having a job. And one guy that, first of all, he stuck around for a long, long time. I want to say so Emeka Okafor. A guy, he was was he the number 1 or number 2 that year? Number 2 because Dwight Howard was number 1.
Yeah, he was 2.
He was number 2 to the Bobcats.
Yes.
And first of all, he was nothing like he was in UConn when he went to the Bobcats. Nothing like it was. No, you're good. It was one of those things where he was so dominant, but he wasn't the same. And the next thing you know, he just stuck around on benches for 10 years. Somebody had him on the end of the bench, and he never played, but he was on the end of the bench. And there's so many, John Salmons is a great example of that, of a guy who
we're putting him on a bench.
He somehow would. I mean, I remember those Bulls teams were bad at some points, but Keith Bogans and John Salmons, these guys didn't deserve jobs at that time. Bogans got by on defense, though, too.
You may not like me on this one.
Yes.
But I'm going to throw a name out.
Please.
Can I put Patty Mills on this list?
He seems to do one good thing really well, and that's maybe shoot the 3. Other than that, though...
But wait a minute. Yeah. There's one thing about shooting the 3. Mm-hmm. There's one thing about shooting the 3 well.
Right.
I feel like over the last 3 years, this dude will shoot a 3 12 times a game.
Yeah.
If he hits 3 of them, you're going to have to take that as the W that it is. I'm putting him as an honorable man. I'm putting
another
him
guy
on the
who's making $13 million a year.
By the way,
that's a big problem for me. Another guy that's making. That's why I think Matthew Dellavedova is so bad. He was getting paid.
My God. He was
getting paid after the Cleveland won the.
Here's what killed me about Matthew Dellavedova, because I'll never live this down. Game 3 of the NBA Finals. Mm-hmm. Somehow the Cleveland Cavaliers have tied the series.
Yeah,
and
he had that one good game against
Steph Curry.
Yeah.
And ESP sucky ass in had the audacity to do this 20-minute piece on Matthew Dellavedova shutting down
the Curry stopper.
Steph Curry, exactly. All of a sudden it was. Matthew Dellavedova from a small town in I don't know where he's
Australia.
from. Yeah.
Australia,
Oh yeah. That's right. He's raised from Australia. So
yeah.
he's from Queensburg, Australia, where there's only like 350
There's
people.
4 basketball courts in the whole
there's
country.
4. Yeah, exactly. and so they go out there and they're like, so Matthew, you're being asked to do one of the toughest jobs in America, and that's guard the great Steph Curry, and you've only held him to 28%. How do you feel? Well, it's been great, and I do what I can for the Cavs and blah blah blah. And then Steph Curry went off for the next 4 games. And this man still got a big-ass contract. Matthew Dellavedova sucks balls. He will forever suck balls. He'll suck balls in Cleveland. He's going to suck balls till he's doing it in freaking Milwaukee. He is getting free checks for playing like crap.
$12 million.
Matthew Dellavedova, kiss my nuts. That's why he's on there. We still need a 3.
We need a 3. Honestly, I would have put John Salmons in, but he's a little bit too far. And plus, you know what? John Salmons had a couple good years, so I won't say that.
Okay, so Granville Waiters played for the Bulls in 84 and 85.
Oh yeah, that's
John Benson says Jack Haley. I want you to put let's come around the 2000 to now era.
Let's try and keep it in the last 20 years.
Yeah, because I got a lot of respect for basketball players back in the day.
Especially in the 80s, dude. Dude, in the 80s, you made it in the league if you had, muscle mass. That's all you needed. Because
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I got mad respect. So I don't want to go back that far. But there's guys right now that are in the league that should not be collecting checks.
Anthony Randolph.
How about
was
Eddie Robinson?
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good
That's it. He's going to the 3.
I always loved Eddie Robinson, though, because he was the one with the Bulls who threw the alley-oop to himself, wasn't he?
I think so, yeah.
He threw a little alley-oop to himself, and I was like, that was when the Bulls were really bad, and he was one of the only ones wearing the headbands on the Bulls.
Rangers just shut out the whack-ass Red Wings.
Oh, wow.
I think the King was in net.
That's all you need is just play the Red Wings and you get back on track, baby. As the Blackhawks did give up a goal here.
Oh,
2-1.
Hey, speaking of the devil, whoever made the NHL schedule, fire yourself immediately. These 10-day layoffs, these 1-week layoffs, are you kidding me?
The Blackhawks didn't play. They didn't play until Saturday. This is the first game since the All-Star break.
The Rangers' first game was yesterday.
That's crazy, dude. That's crazy, man.
So we lost to the Islanders, hadn't played in 10 days, and now somehow we didn't have, I guess the Red Wings blow.
Yeah.
God forbid we didn't play like the Capitals or the Penguins or something. Yeah. We got our asses kicked because we didn't play for 10 days. Our teeth flipping rusty.
And you
give me
3
a
days,
break.
And you get 3 days off before the All-Star game. Dude,
that
was too
goal.
much. That was too much.
So whoever thought it was a great idea that we got to get these guys, a little bit of rest.
Yeah, I mean,
that dude piss off.
And at the same time, it's like, dude, how much do these guys really want that rest? At the end of the day, when you know you're gonna have to go out and play another half of a season, you probably don't want to sit out for 2 weeks. You'd rather be able to sit for 4 or 5 days, which it seems to me to be very adequate.
Dude, I'm low-key going to post this on my Facebook. And then
I'm actually going to start thinking of some guys, too, more modern guys, because there's so many guys.
Yes!
I was thinking of Anthony Randolph for the longest time. Remember Anthony Randolph? He was a Knicks guy.
He was drafted by,
was it Memphis? No,
it was Golden State.
It was Golden State, that's right.
And he came to the Knicks. And I remember I was trying to hype him up, too. I was like, Anthony Randolph.
Former number 2
first,
pick,
you know what I'm saying? He's gonna come to New York. He's gonna resurrect his career ass.
I remember
they were like, "Oh, this guy's supposed to be the next Kevin Garnett. Watch out!"
So bad.
Oh
so
my
bad.
God!
And at the same time, dude, I'll be honest with you, Nikola Mirotic jumped on that list for me too, because when the Bulls, people forget. This guy was the MVP in Europe.
Yep.
Before he came to the Bulls. He was winning the Bulls drafted his rights, and for 2 years he tore up Europe. And all Bulls fans were thinking was, God damn, this guy's gonna be amazing. Dude, when I say that Nikola Mirotic had 5 good games, 5 really good games. Other than that, he was I hate to be this guy, Nick. And this sounds a little bit more, I'm not even going to say racist. I'm going to say this sounds a little bit more like American arrogance than I want it to sound like.
Okay.
But when foreign players come to the league, Nick, it's different. when Luka came to the, first of all, Luka is a very different thing. He's a different animal because Luka came to the league. He was exposed to the NBA when he was like 15.
True.
And he came to the league and he was ready for the amount of physicality and the amount of tenacity that you have to play in the NBA.
True.
Nikola Mirotic was not. He was not used to the physical. That's why him and Bobby Portis got in that fist fight. And he got punched in the fucking face by Bobby Portis. Because at the end of the day, dude, being a big man in the NBA is not a fucking cakewalk.
Nope.
You have to be ready to play dirty, get hurt, throw elbows, do what you have to. And that and foreign players who come to league, let me just give you an example. Lauri Markkanen is not an American. He's a guy who grew up in Sweden, and he went to the University of Arizona.
Yep.
And he's very green in the American basketball.
Right.
And what happens is every single time there's a guy that faces Lauri Markkanen and roughs him up a little bit, he struggles very hard.
Right.
He doesn't understand that he needs to have a killer instinct. You can't be a soft big man in the league. And the worst part is you can't be a big man who relies on his shooting or on his spot-up game or on his driving game. Like, dude, you don't get respect in the league for that. Dudes are going to put a shoulder into you, and if you don't respond, you're not going to be a good player in this league. And that's why I'm so low on Lowry right now. I know he's hurt, and I feel bad for him, but this guy, he hasn't adjusted to American basketball yet. That's scary. He's been in the league for 3 years. Like, I have a hard time with that, and I think European players, man, it's very hard to make that transition of physicality, especially big men.
We got about 30 minutes left in the show.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to quickly go over the Royal Rumble real quick.
Please.
First off, let me say this. I asked a question on my Facebook. There was really no wrong answer to this question because I'm a fan of both.
Yeah.
Well, one I've been a fan of. The other one I just figured out who she was, and I realized she's smoking hot.
Uh-huh.
I asked what was maybe the biggest return heartthrob for people. Was it Demi Lovato coming back on the Grammy singing that little song that she was singing?
Okay.
Looking smoking, flipping
Does she look
hot.
good?
Oh my God, dude! Let me give you a little insight on the big man. Like I'm an EOE when it comes to women. You know, I'm glad I'm.
We both are.
I'm glad I'm bringing this up, dude. Yeah. I've been meaning to tell you this for a minute. So a lot of people know that I do like door dashing on the side.
Yes.
You know, just to make some extra money.
Nice
or whatever.
little extra side hustle.
Dude, it's a legit. It's legit. I freaking adore it.
Yeah.
But you know where I've been going to as of late a lot. A lot of the Mediterranean restaurants.
Yeah,
you know, like,
they're hot nowadays.
The falafel games and the shawarma and this and that.
Shout out to my mom.
Bro,
She
it
makes
is
the best.
so many girls in this restaurant. Yeah. I have been open to the Middle Eastern game, and I almost want to dip my toes in the pool.
Yeah, man.
Now, wait. This isn't brand new. It's all coming back to light.
Okay.
Because when I was working in Adobe, there was one of the girls that I thought was extremely beautiful, and I could have developed a crush on extra quick.
Yeah,
I think she was Middle Eastern.
Okay.
And I'm like, and every time I work with her, I ain't gonna front. I would put on the flirt game. Like the other girls, I would talk to them. They're young, blah, 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 this and that. This girl, full court press, bro.
It's amazing that Arabs can be at work sweating in a retail atmosphere, and you still look at them and you're like, damn, they're hot.
Dude, I swear to God on my mama, dude.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the women's, I'm an EOE.
Me too.
But I'm more, because I'm a big guy.
Right.
I usually lean more towards bigger girls. And Demi Lovato seems to be thick in all the right places.
Yeah, she's a little thick.
God, she's smoking, flipping hot.
Yeah.
So it's either between Demi Lovato coming back or Edge coming back. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, wrestling fans, because Edge had to go through triple neck infusion surgery 7 years ago when he was forced to retire.
Wow.
And I remember watching the Raw when, I forget who he speared. It was somebody big. I almost want to say it was Umaga or somebody. before Umaga died, but
Yeah.
he speared him and he came up really lame.
Right.
And I'm like, damn, I think Edge really hurt himself on that spear. And the very next week, the doctors told him he had to have triple neck infusion surgery.
Man.
So he had to retire and relinquish the World Heavyweight Championship. And they didn't think he was going to wrestle again.
Yeah. How did he look, by the way?
Huh?
How did he look, by the way?
Okay. Edge looks old. He's got the little, the grays right here in the beard.
Yeah,
But he looks strong. He almost looks better now. Like, he looks more ripped now than he did. I see that the Blackhawks just
they gave him another goal.
Yeah, I gave him a goal. He looks good, but he looked winded. Like, it's like Zion Williamson coming back, and then it's like, okay,
first game back, first match back.
Yeah, exactly.
He was in the Rumble itself.
He was in the actual Rumble.
That's also
I think
a very
he came in at like 20.
Oh, okay. So they gave him a late arrival. Which was pretty good. Okay.
Let me tell you about the Royal Rumble and why I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah.
Because the Royal Rumble, the men's match. The women's match was okay. I think they gave the right pushes to where it came. A lot of people didn't like the fact that Charlotte Flair won it. I'm actually okay with the fact that Charlotte Flair won it. What I didn't like was the fact that Lacey Evans didn't win the women's championship over Bayley, because I think that Charlotte Flair and Lacey Evans are almost mirror images of one another, and I think that they will work together great. So I was hoping that Lacey would have won that. But the reason why, this is probably another clip worthy.
Yeah.
The reason why I was so into the men's Royal Rumble, the way it worked out, was because the WWE got it right.
Right.
Look at it like this. Usually when you win the Royal Rumble, you get a chance at winning you get a chance at WrestleMania, the headline WrestleMania, for either the Universal title that's on SmackDown or the WWE title that's on Raw. Brock Lesnar decided, as the WWE champion, that he was going to go and he was going to go in first and prove that he's the best wrestler out there. I'm thinking now off the top of my head, the first 13 guys that went in there before Ricochet and then eventually Drew McIntyre. It was Elias, Bobby Roode, Braun Strowman, both New Day, so that would have been Kofi and Big E, Shelton Benjamin, Rey Mysterio.
Ray's still going strong, huh?
Yeah, Ray's still going strong, believe it or not.
Wow.
And there were 4 other guys. The reason why that was genius was because those first 13 guys had no shot at winning the, had no shot at winning the Royal Rumble.
The Royal Rumble, right.
So the best way to do it, just get rid of them. Delay the inevitable.
Right.
We don't need a ring full of all these fools.
Nobody's, just to get to the next 10 who are
get them out.
Guys, yeah.
Get them out.
Yeah, change the format.
So then what you do is you bring in Ricochet. Ricochet is now trying to prove to Brock that he can stand up with Brock. Tries to go a little bit with Brock. Who comes in? Big bad Drew McIntyre. The guy said was going to win the Rumble last week.
Yeah, you did.
Who ends up winning the Royal Rumble? Big bad Drew McIntyre. So to answer your question, Steven, Brock is going to face Drew McIntyre at the Royal Rumble. What made this whole Royal Rumble interesting was that Brock Lesnar got into it with one of the NXT wrestlers. So the WWE's all Twitter lies, for lack of a better way of putting it. And I guess Matt Riddle had said something to Brock Lesnar about how he shouldn't be champ and being part-time champ and all this other nonsense. And Brock Lesnar saw the tweet, found Matt Riddle, and told Matt Riddle that he would never work with him because they would never make any money. So they got to a shouting match. Obviously, they had to break it up, so much so that the WWE told the wrestlers that when they tweet out, to not put other wrestlers in their names, put their names in everybody's mouth.
You would think they'd be okay with that, though, with just like all the buzz that they would get around that. But seems like that's a little more kayfabe than anything, breaking character to call out a fellow wrestler on.
Okay, I read that question wrong. He asked, is Brock going to be the face or Drew? Drew is going to be the face of that match.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. Brock is still going to be heel. Drew's going to be face.
It's going to be really hard for Brock to turn into a good face for
I agree.
The persona they built for him is so catered to being a heel.
Yep.
Especially in the WWE.
Yep.
And it works so well with Heyman that like why fix it if it's not, or why try and fix something that's not broken.
Exactly.
How long did it last, by the way? How long was the event? Did they figure that out? Because we were thinking it would be really long.
I would say it's probably 3. Let me see. The pay-per-view really started at 7. I think I was done. I think it was like 3.5 hours.
Which
so
it
wasn't really that bad. It wasn't really that long.
But you were saying WrestleMania for sure is going to dip
it's
into
going to
the
be
4
a
or 5 hour.
5-6 hour pay-per-view.
Wow.
Freaking ridiculous.
Yeah.
But what did happen last night on SmackDown, and I mentioned it earlier, thank God, they took the Intercontinental title off of Shinsuke and they put it on Braun Strowman. Thank flipping God. Shinsuke Nakamura was one of those guys that Brock threw out quickly, by the way.
Okay.
So, yeah, dude, guys that weren't going to win the Royal Rumble, they won it. But there was some heat that happened on that. Dolph Ziggler actually clowned the WWE, their camera crew, because when Edge came in, Dolph Ziggler took a spear from Edge, which is his signature move. The camera crew was still was focused on AJ Styles and something else. They totally missed the sell job of Dolph Ziggler of Edge taking his spear.
Yeah.
I was like, bogus. And he clowned him. He was like, this is one of the biggest returns here in the Royal Rumble, and you're over here on the other side of the ring where nothing's going on, and I just sold the absolute crap out of his spear, and nobody saw it unless you were in the stadium.
Yeah, and production
get better.
And production has been a big critic for them, right? For the WWE and how they've sort of gone away from the previous way of producing these events, specifically pay-per-views, because pay-per-views used to be a very specific look.
Yep.
Specifically these large events that have a lot of wrestlers in there. The type of action that was going on was very conducive to like storylines and okay, this is going to happen. And again, this my viewpoint of wrestling is very much in the old school before people were reading the scripts online and having the information leaked weeks in advance or something like that. But I certainly think right now the WWE, it's crazy to think about because they haven't taken a step down. As bad as things have gotten for Vince McMahon and WWE business-wise in the last, let's say, 5-10 years, they haven't taken a step down yet.
True.
People are still watching these pay-per-views. People are still going and attending these events. People still buy into these wrestlers and the characters and that just goes to show that the product really needs to get better here. And they need to go. We talked about it with Mike at Reps, one of these episodes we had at Reps, where they're doing their best to build new fans,
right,
and pushing away the fans that have stayed and been loyal for 20 plus years,
right.
And that's a tough thing to do business wise because you think there's greener pastures out there if you just advertise to them and you try and gear your show towards them. And a lot of people making a mess about, they're gearing this thing too much to women and it's not as entertaining and this and this and that. And at the end of the day, I don't necessarily agree with that because I think there are some women matches. Like I've seen some women matches that were really enticing.
Easily.
But at the end of the day, dude, like you can't help but notice that the production value is down. The focus and the trajectory of we talked about it at Reps. It seemed like if you missed Raw that week, you missed like half of the action. And oh my God, I watched SmackDown without watching Raw this week, and holy crap, I missed like half of the shit that went on. Now we talked about Mike talking about last week. He missed 6 weeks or something like that. Came back and didn't miss a beat.
He didn't miss
Can't
a beat.
have that. You can't have that. You have to have that sort of attention where everyone wants to. My dad. It's crazy to think about. My dad's been watching wrestling since he came to this country. I don't think he's ever missed a pay-per-view before, and somehow it wasn't in his mind that Royal Rumble was on Sunday.
Right.
And when I talked to him on Monday, he was watching Raw, and he's like, I didn't watch this. I was like, this happened yesterday. And at the end of the day, I don't think he's ever been one to miss a pay-per-view. So to me right now, again, in trying to expand the game, they've pushed away some of the loyal people.
big time facts. So pay-per-view was decent. Thank you, WWE, for taking the IC title that I still think is a pretty nice looking title on Braun Strowman. We'll see how that rolls. WrestleMania is in a few weeks. And I think Elimination Chamber is usually the next pay-per-view on the road to WrestleMania.
They still doing the four corner with the glass little.
That's the Elimination Chamber.
Dope.
Yep.
Those are dope. I like that.
Yep. So yeah, man. Other than that though, I ain't got nothing else.
Yeah, man. Super Bowl tomorrow, so definitely
Super Bowl tomorrow.
Check in.
The wifey fights next week.
Yes, sir. Valentina
Shevchenko. Dude, you know what I was thinking at the restaurant? Dude, I want this show to be so big one day that, like, Valentina actually listens and she's like, oh, my God. You know, with that Polish accent that she has. And she's just like, oh, that big guy really likes me. Maybe I should make an appearance on the show. Bro, I will dick ride so hard. I'll be like, oh, my God, Valentina. Ow. What do I say? Like, I'm kind of, my bad. I'm kind of starstruck right now. Like, I want to shoot my shot, but, you know, you have no ring on your finger. Okay, that's a good thing. Okay.
Just wait until she fights Amanda Nunes, dude. Like, that's going to happen soon, and they're going to main event something, so maybe we'll get press passes, and, you know, they'll...
Can I come down with you?
You know,
with the, you know, on
give us the little, you know, the little chain with the you know, Nick Russell, Maher Ayub little, you know, things, and we walk in there with the credentials and kind of flash them and get backstage. And
hey, I know Valentina personally.
Yeah.
Like, hey, baby, how you feeling, man? You ready? You about to get hype? You need to get hype? Like, can we walk out with you, right? Can I get like that pregame hug like you do all the coaches and stuff?
Yeah.
Like, let me hang
walk out there with you.
Oh, I swear to God, dude, I want the full experience. Like, I'm trying to come out and see Valentina and like, I want to be with her when she's like training. Like, and I won't even say anything, you know, I just want to see you train, and then I'll be like, hey man, that was very intense. Like, I want to be your hype man. Let me, Valentina Shevchenko, let Oso Negro be your hype man.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting card because there's basically two really good fights on that card, and that's it. It's John Jones versus Dominic Reyes and Valentina versus Caitlin Chukagian, who Chukagian's a very good fighter, but I just don't. They fought before, and Valentina picked her apart. We'll also see Juan Adams versus Justin Tafa. Both those guys are, you know, I guess, you know, both of those guys are up and coming as far as their weight class is concerned. You'll have Ilir Latifi versus Derek Blackbeast Lewis. That's going to be on the main card.
Okay,
pretty decent matchup. Latifi's coming off of a loss, and so is Derek Lewis. And then you got Mirsad Bektic versus Dan Ige. So, you know,
wait a minute, who did Lewis lose? I thought he won his last fight.
No, he lost to. That was, I'm thinking of when he lost to Daniel Cormier. No, he won against who'd he win against?
That was in the Cowboy fight, wasn't it?
It was
not
in the same
McGregor,
card,
but the one before that.
Yeah, same card where he blew like this and it exploded his nose, right? That's the one you're talking about.
The Ferguson, yeah.
So it was Ivanov. That's right. It was Blagoy Ivanov. Yeah. So no, but before that he lost to. That's the one where he fought for the heavyweight championship against what's his name? DC. Which, by the way, DC's saying now he may retire because he only wants to fight Stipe, and Stipe's playing around now. He's basically saying that it's going to take him another 8 months to come back, which that's going to be crazy. That means he won't have fought in over a year. They want him to vacate the title and have DC fight somebody. In the meantime, there's a couple of other guys. Francis Ngannou's facing Rosenstruik. So that's gonna see a lot of changes here, especially when it comes to the light heavyweight and heavyweight divisions are going to change very drastically over the next couple of years. John Jones is obviously going to be a part of that. I think John Jones, after this Reyes fight, there's not really a lot of guys left for him. And I know he really wants to make that Izzy fight happen, but Adesanya wants to defend at least 2 more times.
Yeah.
So if you're doing the math on that, he's going to have to wait at least a year, and you can't just stay inactive this year. This year, John Jones needs to be active. So lots of movement in the UFC. They seem to be more content with letting guys sit out. It used to be that if you can't fight in the next 3 months, we're taking your title away and somebody's going to fight for the interim.
Yep.
And I think they saw how people were clowning them about those interims, so maybe now they're a little nervous to do that. But, yeah, next week, Dominic Reyes versus John Bones Jones. This is going to be an interesting one, but I have a hard time seeing Dominic Reyes doing anything to really hurt John Jones. So, yeah, we'll probably actually be watching that live next week because I think the card happens a little bit earlier than usual. I want to say it's a 4:30 start on that card. Let me look it up.
When we're setting up breakfast dates for tomorrow.
All right, look at you.
I know, dude.
Productive Saturday night over here.
Yeah, I know, right?
Setting up breakfast dates.
Do a little breakfast shindig
like
before
it.
the Super Bowl tomorrow.
I like
Still
it.
on the fence if I want to just sit at home, relax, and watch the game, or if I want to DoorDash and watch the game at the same time.
Probably get some money with that.
That's my point.
Yeah.
But Sunday seems to be the only flipping day I have off. I'm out here just
That DoorDash
making all this bread between Mod and DoorDashing. So
gonna have to start off saving for New York and saving for honestly, I'm like 50-50 right now. I'm really thinking about doing that Field of Dreams thing. My buddy, he sent me a possible he basically sent me a way that we could make it so that we have 4 or 5 guys do it. And it won't be so expensive, and the tickets aren't that bad. So I'm going to look into it because at the end of the day, that drive isn't so bad. And apparently the field is coming along really nice because, remember, they had to construct that field specifically for this game.
Right.
So they don't know what the dimensions are going to look like yet, but they're on their way to creating that.
And then on top of that, dude, freaking the drive from here to Iowa is like legit. From here to the border, I can tell you right now, is a legit 2 hour and a half, hour and a half if you're
yeah. You can make it back same night if you want to.
If you're driving
safe, yeah.
It'll take you an hour and a half.
Not me.
Yeah, well, then it's going to take you an hour and a half.
Yeah, no, and at the same time, that experience is going to be so different because they're not going to. I don't think they're going to play any. I think they're going to play one game a year there, so it's going to be a cool experience to go there. It just depends on ticket price at the end of the day. Like, I don't want to be gouged out. I already paid a lot of money for a 10-game package to the White Sox, which, I'm excited about, but I'm also thinking, like, am I going to be able to make all 10 games? Like, you have that at the back of your mind too. So I'm excited about baseball for sure. So I'm leaving it open because I'm thinking the White Sox this year are going to surprise us all. And win 150 games.
Once again, I might clip this out and then send it to Valentina via Instagram and let her know to let us be a part of her entourage. But then, if she wins, maybe we should go for some victory food afterwards.
Yeah, and Antonina can come and
we can double date. I feel
right?
like we have something brewing. Okay.
Antonina looks single as hell on Instagram. I know she's in Phuket, Thailand right now, just doing. I don't even know if she's training for a fight because when she's posting shit like her on elephants and shit like that, and not necessarily her.
The Thai people really love their elephants.
They do, and they make a lot of money.
Because I was watching The Protector with Tony Jaa, which I think is one of the greatest movies ever written. Dude, it's one of the greatest movies. We have been cheated that we have not gotten more movies with Tony Jaa. I'm being dead ass serious.
That's not the one with Michael Jai White, is it? Is that the one?
No.
Okay.
The Protector's the one where these poachers come and steal their elephants because it's about, and then he goes to Australia to get it back, and he starts kicking everybody's ass doing
it's
that
the John
Muay
Wick.
Thai.
It's the John Wick for elephants. Basically.
It is one of the most awesome movies ever.
Nice.
Ever.
I actually just watched The Joker. Have you seen The Joker?
Not yet.
I just watched it, and I have to admit I was a little disappointed. I thought the movie was good. But I thought, there was. I don't want to say too much because it's going to spoil it, and you haven't seen it.
Right.
But what I will say is that I thought the movie tried too hard to transition into the next movie, if that makes sense. I think they were trying too hard to sort of set little Easter eggs here or there so that you would say, man, the next one's coming with, X, Y, and Z, and this and this and that. So I like the overall concept of the movie. I thought it was obviously a very well-made movie. I just thought at the end of the day, it was clearly one of those things where they were thinking, let's start a movie franchise with this.
Right.
Let's bring this really, really iconic actor with an iconic role, have him do this kind of crazy shit on screen, which it was, dude. The way he looked on screen was at some point.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Sometimes you look at him and you're like, holy shit, how is he still alive? He was just all skin and bones, and just a very convincing. Let's just say he played a very convincing character. I'm sure that affected him in his personal life because he played that character all too well.
I did just get done playing Batman, the Telltale series.
Okay.
That game was very interesting. I actually enjoyed it more than I thought it was going to. But see, here's the thing. Here's the thing about playing the Joker. I play too many video games.
Yeah.
Okay? And I'm just going to tell you right now that I know that the Joker loves killing people.
yeah.
Okay?
That's his thing.
If I don't see the Joker killing anybody in his first movie, I'm not going to enjoy it.
You talk about the Joaquin Phoenix movie?
Uh-huh.
Oh, no, you're going to like it. Yeah,
because I was going to say, because last time I checked,
he kills people.
Mortal Kombat just put the Joker as a DLC
Oh, they did.
character.
Wow.
And the fatality that I saw is absolutely so stupid. It is amazing. And I mean that in the best way possible.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
I'm not like, oh my God, it's so. I'm talking about like, I looked at this, I said, wow. Because remember, they've been flirting with DC and Mortal Kombat when they made the game.
Yeah.
And then DC, like total bitches, were like, well, you can't have Batman and Superman and the Flash do fatalities because they don't kill anybody. Are you kidding me? That's the whole point.
Have you not paid attention?
Of Mortal Kombat. Yeah. You can't have 20 characters and 10 Mortal Kombat guys are doing their thing.
We just hurt
you.
The
5 DC guys that are bad guys are like, oh, thank God, because I've been trying to kill somebody for a minute. Yeah, right. And then you got Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman, The Flash, and I want to say the Green Lantern.
They don't have fatalities.
No, they have brutality. I don't want that.
Okay.
I want Batman to take them little, because first of all, I don't even think Batman's that much of a superhero anyway.
He's just a rich billionaire.
He's a rich billionaire with a two belt.
Exactly, yeah.
That's all about Batman. Is not Superman is a superhero. He flies.
Yeah.
Superwoman is a superhero.
Powers.
She flies.
Yeah.
The Incredible Hulk gets big and
Yeah.
apparently can run at 500 miles an hour. I didn't even know that.
I didn't know that. Okay.
I thought I always grew up with Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah,
Lou Ferrigno's just strong. He wasn't running nowhere.
Yeah.
He was just strong as hell. Right. Now it makes sense, I guess. Right. Right. You know what I'm saying? Iron Man flies. Batman ain't flying nowhere.
Let's be honest. So Iron Man's kind of in the same boat, other than the fact that he had that shit within his heart. Like, he kind of has superpowers, but both Iron Man and Batman are basically spoiled billionaires who had expendable income to make these crazy suits that allowed them to become superheroes. There's not real superheroes there. Superman is a superhero.
Yes.
He flies.
Yes.
He does actual shit. You know, Batman and Iron Man are just simply, guys who got wealth from their parents and got bored and made space state-of-the-art suits.
Yeah. Yeah. Not superhero movie.
But yeah, check out Joker, because that one definitely.
Captain America is not a superhero.
Oh no, he's not either. Don't get me started on him. And I hated the movies too because I had a hard time buying into the whole story. I remember watching the movie where he's like a puny little guy.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, they make him into this giant jacked dude, and it's like
my name is Captain America.
It's like nah.
And I'm here to defend the honor of
the
United
States. Could have done better.
Yeah, dude. Spider-Man's a hero. Shooting webs out of people is not known. And that is superhero-ish.
Exactly. Like there's other examples of guys who have put on shit and done cool shit with them. They're not superheroes.
Who's the guy that shoots arrows?
Arrow, isn't it Arrow? No, his name is I thought it was there's a show called Arrow.
No, maybe that's him.
No, I'm good on that too.
Yeah,
and their thing is like, well, the arrows are they have magic in them. Like, it goes, okay, fine. I guess I'll give
even in the Scorpion King, when they shot the Rock with the arrow with the scorpion.
Yeah.
It didn't do anything,
Oh
but
my
just
God.
made him strong and piss him off.
Made me forget when The Rock was doing the Scorpion. Remember when people were clowning him for the Scorpion King and everyone like that's the
I don't know why.
The funniest part was everyone was clowning him for wanting to be an actor. Remember, people were clowning him and saying this guy will never be an actor. Remember, he did that one movie.
He's just a wrestler.
He's just a wrestler who wants to be an actor, and he did that one movie with that little girl where he played she played his daughter.
Oh,
and the whole meme. Remember the meme where like he's looking in the back of the car like this, and it's a very famous meme.
Yep.
And everyone after that movie was saying, "Oh my God, The Rock is so desperate," and now he's the #1 fucking action actor in the world. And people don't understand that The Rock is ginormous. Like The Rock could run for president if he wanted to.
At least now he is.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I mean, The Rock really's been working out.
Oh, and really been working out the needles too.
I remember when he was just The Rock.
Right, yeah.
Oh, well, you got to remember the man was 6'5", 275 out of Miami. So
but let's be honest, the muscle that he put on, first of all, obviously steroids, guys. It's obviously steroids. You don't get that big without steroids, but at the same time, you also have to have the fucking commitment that he has,
right,
which is to literally travel a $10,000 gym setup everywhere he goes.
Yep.
I love his little Instagram. It's like, yeah, we're in the Iron Paradise, and they just set it up in Hawaii, and he's like got this fucking $10,000 like basically Planet Fitness behind him, and they're in the jungle in Hawaii or something like that. Yeah, you have to have that type of commitment. And by the way, John Cena's trying to get into that now, where he's been doing movies for a while, but now you could see he's trying to jump into maybe more comedic, maybe a little bit more action, now trying to do some other things here or there. You could tell he's trying to jump into that Rock mold.
John Cena should have been the next Superman. It's not even close.
Oh, really? Was he in the contention? Because that would have been a good. He has the body and the face for it.
Exactly. And he just grew his hair out to where he should be the next Clark Kent.
I was gonna say his hair looks good. I remember his hair. He always had that corny.
Yeah,
fade.
He had the buzz cut.
He had the corny buzz fade with the. But I mean, at the end of the day, that's what you want. Like, at the end of the day, that's what your goal should be as a wrestler, right? Like, how high up on the totem pole can you get as a wrestler now? You really can't. Like, even Stone Cold, he's WWE legend, but he hasn't blown up. Like, not everyone in the world knows Stone Cold Steve Austin, but he's done a great job with his podcast. He's found a niche for himself.
And he's got them little shows he has on USA, which I think are hysterical.
Yeah, and he's a funny guy and a great guy, don't get me wrong, but he never really thought about the acting thing. He always wanted a very specific thing for him, but now it seems like even The Miz, to a certain extent, is already starting to think about what's next for him and all the shows that he's doing and stuff like
Miz
that.
And Mrs. relationship goals, by the way, and can I give kudos to the Miz for scoring Maurice, by the way?
Yeah. And what a story the Miz is in general. I remember me and my brother used to watch The Real World. Me and my brother used to watch The Real World, and this dude was on The Real World, and I still remember an episode where this guy jumps off the second floor onto the couch, and he tells everyone, "I want to be a wrestler one day, and one day I'm gonna be a wrestler."
With the Miz persona.
With the Miz, and by the way, that Miz persona, he was already cooked up. It was already ready before he even got to Real World. And he said, "I want to be a wrestler," and everyone was kind of clowning him because it was like kind of this funny thing. And remember, they had that show years back where it was almost like a training show to get into wrestling. I forgot what it was called.
Oh, it's going to piss me off because I know exactly what you're talking about.
And it was a really cool show. Tough Enough. I thought that was a really cool show, but he broke into that show and, by the way, paid his fucking dues. Went and was doing these like weird shows in Alabama and here and there. Next thing you know, he's on the lower levels. And then, by the way, years after I stopped watching wrestling, I go to visit my dad, and who do you see on the screen? It's The Miz. So what a story for him.
And let me just say for the record that my favorite person on that Real World episode, not named The Miz, was Cora's fine ass.
Cora. Was she the Hawaiian one?
Nah.
No.
That she was black, and she used to have the little piercing in her
name
lip.
sounds familiar, and I love Real World too.
Yeah,
so.
I
love Road Rules more, but yeah, I love the challenges.
Yeah, she was on a couple of them challenges back in the day. Yeah, peep her up.
Was she Real World or Road Rules?
She was whatever one was with the Miz.
She was in She was in the she was Real World then. Real World, and it's Cora.
Maybe Cora.
Oh, Coral, yeah. You talking about her?
Hell, goddamn right.
She's fine. Yeah, she's fine.
She's got a smoking body too, dude.
Is that real? Oh my God, it's not loading.
Yeah, that's definitely her.
The years have been nice to her.
Man, I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you, Coral.
I thought you were gonna say.
Girl.
I thought you were gonna say CT because I love CT in those challenges. He was that Boston dude. He was funny.
Nah, man, Coral, that's my girl.
That was my guilty pleasure back in the day. Was watching those VH1 and MTV shows.
And to finish the show off on that freaking that's what pissed me off about that Tough Enough with the Men's. He should have easily have won that, but
he didn't even win it, right? He didn't even win it
because dumb big head ass America. Oh, Daniel Puter's a former UFC fighter. Let's let him win it. You got a guy that's been.
Who won it? Who won it?
His name was Daniel Puter. He used to be a UFC fighter.
I wanted to say Maven for some reason, but that wasn't Maven.
That was the first one.
That was the first one.
Maven was the absolute first one.
Got it. Okay.
The Miz and Daniel Puter was number 2.
Wow.
And they did Maven so damn bogus. Like, they put him over so bad. Like, they put him over big.
Yeah.
But maybe he was his own enemy at times.
Yeah.
And when they let him eliminate the legendary Undertaker at the Royal Rumble, and then you don't push him afterwards, BS.
It was clown.
That's total clown BS. Yeah, no, they did Maven extra bogus.
Bring back Tough Enough, man. I like that show. That was a cool little.
Now it's called NXT.
I was gonna say, so they got an NXT thing.
And also thumbs down to the Briscoes. Mark and Jay, whose ROH contracts were up as of today, but they re-signed with ROH. Horrible move. You should have signed with the WWE, went to NXT, and battled Fish and O'Reilly, who used to be the tag team Red Dragon in the WWE, and wrestled them for the NXT titles. That would have been more exciting than anything that they're doing in ROH. They've already won the championship.
It's got to be a money thing,
11 times. Dude, there's no way the WWE would not have paid them more money than ROH.
How is the WWE losing out to organizations
because
like
some
ROH?
people just won't wrestle for Triple H or Vince McMahon, more or less.
And let's be fair, Nick. They've ruined a couple of careers that WWE
I'm not denying that
with bad
at all.
writing and bad scripting and bad pushing.
I'm not denying that.
Pushing the wrong guy or gal here or there can really ruin a career.
Most definitely. All right, guys. Well, enjoy the game tomorrow.
Yes.
We'll see you guys next week. It won't be Valentine's Day quite yet, so.
But we'll get into the Valentine's Day
stuff.
Yeah,
dude, because I'm
we'll
be
try
showing
and get
love.
Valentina and Antonina and,
Hey, Steve, we gotta make something work, bro.
We'll have to
Let's see if we can
Twitters.
work some media translations or something, so we can get Valentina at least.
Valentina speaks like 6 languages,
see what we can
so
do,
she's got to speak English. I think we're good on that.
Yeah, she speaks English. I might ask her to speak Spanish with that Polish accent. I'm going to marry her on the spot. I will be off the free agent market quicker than you know.
Yep, both of us.
Let's see if we can set that up, man.
All right. For Steve back there, it's Mack and Black. We'll see you guys next week.
Peace.